All right, we're ready for some exciting high school football here at WKXL AM 1450 as Concord High School celebrates their homecoming as they take on Spaulding High School over Memorial Field. We'll go to Harvey Smith and Bruce Lavoie.
A very pleasant good afternoon to you, everybody. Welcome to Memorial Field and our high school game of the week here on 1450 Radio. It's the Concord High School Crimson Tide hosting the always tough Spaulding Red Raiders. And this is homecoming day for the Crimson Tide of Concord High, a little special incentive for the men in crimson as they take the field this afternoon with a record of 3-2. Spaulding comes in here at 4-1. Broadcast this weekend brought to you by the Allied Insurance Agency at 500 South Street on the Bowtown line. At the Allied Insurance Agency, your protection is their profession. By S&W Sports Shop, 238 South Main Street in Concord. When it comes to bikes, cross-country, and alpine skiing, bring the entire family to the leader, S&W Sports. By the Horizon Bank at 197 Loudon Road in Concord, your locally owned and managed community bank. By Denroy Shoes, 76 North Main Street in Concord, featuring athletic footwear for the entire family. By Bernie Sports of Concord. If you're outfitting a team for the fall or winter seasons, give Jim Bernie a call at 224-2131. He'll come to your home or to your office. And by the Capital City law firm, Rath, Young, Pignatelli, and Oyer, on behalf of their clients and the community. It is homecoming weekend for the Crimson Tide here this afternoon, and they'll need all the help they can to get back on the track for a tournament berth. They're 3-2, Spaulding at 4-1, and this will not be an easy outing for the Crimson Tide. They are out here on Memorial Field. We rained lately, but the field's in almost ideal, perfect conditions. There are no mud spots. It's green everywhere. I was down on the field myself, and the footing is excellent all over the field. Concord's in its home crimson uniforms that they have not lost in this year, so that will be an intangible going for them. It is cold and windy. It will be the toughest conditions that the Crimson will have to have played in this year. That may be a good thing because Spaulding comes in here with an outstanding young passing quarterback in Andy Jackson, as he has thrown for 12 touchdowns through the airwaves this year over those first 5 games, 11 of them to Aaron Gagnon, his junior flanker on the right side, and you're going to have to watch that combination very, very closely today. My partner, Bruce Lavoie, likes broadcasting these games, but somehow, Bruce, you seem to get even more up for a homecoming event.
Oh, absolutely, Harvey. As we see the Concord High School band coming in, have you noticed that the ranks are swelled? I had forgotten until just this moment as I saw them march down through the parking lot that this is the weekend for the combined band, and they always have a surprise for the fans at halftime with the younger kids coming up from the junior high, and I guess even some elementary school kids get involved with this as well, in addition to the high school band. But I'll tell you, from my journeys around the lot, because of all of the excitement and anticipated traffic and whatnot around this area, I got here real early today. And in wandering around, it is a lot more comfortable when the sun is out than when the sun is in. And that wind blowing from the north-northeast is really whipping down this field at times and blowing the balloons around and blowing the fans around. But nonetheless, the crowd is expected here this afternoon, and we hope that you'll come out and join us in person, or at least stay near your radio.
They had a parade here in the city of Concord today involving the high school kids from the downtown area out here to the west side football facility, and it involved several floats and several members of the Concord High School student body, the different social groups and spirit groups that go on there. They will crown a king and a queen at halftime. They will announce the winner of the float competition, which had somewhere between 15 and 18 entrants this year, an all-time high. And the spirit is at a feverish pitch, and it's going to have to be. Concord needs all the help it can get. The field is decorated. When we arrived here, balloons ringing the entire gridiron area on the chain link fence that surrounds the football field, and crepe paper all over the place. It's a nice setting, and my man Bruce Lavoie will help bring all the color and pageantry of high school football to you this afternoon. This year, Concord at 3-2, Spaulding at 4-1. Through the years, this has been a great series. It's the 44th meeting between Spaulding and Concord in football. Spaulding leads the series 22-18, and there have been 3 ties. The first ever game was played back in 1926. Concord won that game 19-0. Deli Hallahan was the coach, and the kids used to dress at the YMCA and walk to the gun club grounds to practice and to play their games back there in the 1920s. And I'm wondering if it was a day much like today. It's cold and windy here in 1991 at Memorial Field. Hugo Boland very popular coach over there in Rochester. He's been there for 27 years. And I caught up with the head man just a moment ago down on the field.
27th year at the helm over there in Rochester, New Hampshire. That sound kind of scary?
Yes, but it's been great years. So it's been enjoyable. It hasn't been, drudgery. And when it comes that way, then it's time to get out the game.
I think the one thing that'll probably be remembered most of 4 titles in 4 different decades. That's kind of fantastic. Did you use the same system for all 40 years, Coach?
Basically, it's been, we have been using, it's a double wing per se, but it's been basically the same type of plays off of it that we run, because that's what, when I ended up in college, that's what we were doing. So we kept going with it.
Congratulations on the title last year. I know it meant a lot to you.
It did. It was a very big year for me because things were tough, for me personally, and I had a great bunch of kids and that were hard, and they improved. They weren't all, but they improved every game, and they just put it all together.
You do have one kid who is starting to get superstar status around the state. Andy Jackson, your quarterback. He's been starting 3 or 4 years. Put on a great show over here 2 years ago. I know he was hurt last week. What's his status for today, Coach?
He's fine. He'll be playing. He could have played last week, but we went with the kid that was a question mark for us, and he's a junior, and we wanted to see what he could do, and he did a great job for us. We think we found the quarterback for next year because he did. They came at us with an 8-man front, thinking that we didn't have Andy, that we were going to just have to run, and this kid he did the job for us. He made some big fast completions.
You talk about a system that has held up through the years, producing 4 state titles over a 4-decade period. You're one coach who uses 11 different kids on defense. Sometimes you've been criticized for that by your peers, but you seem to stick to it, and it seems to have worked for you.
Well, you look at the teams that are doing it. Coach Dunn was with us for 2 years, and he's gone back down to Dover. And look at their ball club. They're doing the same thing now. You find that you end up getting more kids to play football. The enthusiasm is greater. You can get a kid that's not as good, doing 2 things, and if he can just concentrate on doing 1, he's going to become a better ball player. And this is what we've found out. We have definitely kids. We're going to have 2 kids going both ways tonight because of our depth problem. But it's worked out for us. So as long as something, what they say, if it's still working, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's what we've been doing.
Speaking of Dover, real quickly, 1-7 last year. Bill Bushing comes in for the 3rd time along over there, and 6-0. They're for real. Tell us about them.
They're a very big ball club. They're a veteran club. They got a lot of kids back, especially on defense. They're big. They're strong. They had them last year. Jim Dunn, who, as I mentioned, is going to Dover. He made a prediction before they went down there that they would be 5-1 coming into our game before the season even started. So it's definitely been there. The caliber of ball player has been there. It's just a matter that they needed a change, I guess. Maybe that's what you could say for it. And Bill has done the change, and it's worked out.
We'll talk to Bill at halftime here on WKXL. Final question, Pinkerton Academy. Most of the Class L coaches are saying untouchable, out of sight. How do you feel about them? Can they be caught by the end of the year?
I'm hoping that we're one. We moved the ball against them well, I thought. I thought we could move the ball offensively, but we couldn't stop them. We weren't prepared for what they did, and their passing attack, because history shows that they've never thrown like they did against us. Drop-back passes, they've all been play action and strictly a running team, but they've now have a complete package. They even throw more now than they did back in Mahawk and Segretti days. But I'm hoping that defensively we're stronger. If we get a chance at them, that we're going to be stronger, and I think we might be able to stay with them. We stayed with them for 3 periods. It's just the first period they blew us out, and then after that we matched them touchdown for touchdown. So we're hoping we get a shot at them. But they're right. They have a fine ball club, and they're going to be tough to beat.
You know you're over here for another homecoming day at Concord High. You seem to be a tradition here for homecoming.
I know it. We were supposed to play this one last night. It was originally scheduled until they found out it was homecoming. I know it. I don't like Saturday games either.
Listen, you know enough. I've always wanted to say this to you. After the game, I'll play tennis and you go bowling.
I go shoot pool.
Good luck today, Coach.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Harvey Smith discussing things with Hugo Bolin, the head coach of the Spaulding Red Raiders. A couple of notes that he made in there that Hugo said very late in the interview he doesn't like Saturday afternoons. Well, that appears to be the case. This is the first time this season in game number 6 of the year that the Spaulding Red Raiders will have played under daylight conditions. Concord has won Saturday afternoons
Pinkerton defeated the Spaulding Red Raiders in the second week of the season, 42-14. Other than that, Spaulding coming up with 4 wins on the year. They beat Londonderry 35-21, Bishop Girton 48-13, Portsmouth 48-36, and last weekend they beat Winnicott 28-6. Concord, on the other hand, coming in at 3-2. They beat Bishop Girton 30-7 in the first week. Londonderry 42-20. Second week, they lost to Pinkerton 38 in Derry. They came back here to Memorial Field 2 weeks ago and beat Exeter 17-7. And then last Friday night over on the Seacoast, they were defeated by a high-flying Portsmouth Clipper squad by a score of 36-29. Portsmouth was defeated last night. They were beaten by the Dover Green Wave 43-20. The game was stopped with 7:03 left in the contest due to a fight. And we will have the details on that for you coming up with the Dover High coach coming up at halftime, so stay with us for that. The other games last night, Manchester West beat Manchester Central 28-0. It was Merrimack over Londonderry 36-7. And in something of a surprise, one of those games that Harvey puts into his category of games you say, to, Nashua demolished Trinity. Both teams going in at 4-1, and Nashua emerges 14 down at Holman Stadium. Big slate of games around the state today, including our crosstown friends from Bishop Brady. They're on the road at Fall Mountain, a little community of Langdon over there on the Vermont border, roughly about 15 miles south of Claremont. And the Brady Green Giants and Fall Mountain will be doing battle this afternoon at the same hour that we are here in Concord, and we'll try to have a score for you late in this game. If not, we'll have it for you first thing in the morning on WKXL AM and FM. Over on the FM side this afternoon, the UNH Wildcats taking on the Richmond Spiders in the Cats' homecoming at Cowell Stadium in Durham. They're looking for their 4th or 5th straight win. And later on this afternoon, after the football game here, we'll be joining National League Championship Series action. Game number 3 as Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Atlanta Braves at Fulton County Stadium this afternoon. Too much of that game, folks, because it's 3:07, I think, for the first pitch or thereabouts, and we'll pick that up from CBS right after the AM game this afternoon. FM will join after the football game. Tonight, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., you can join Jim D'Souza from the Hampton Inn in Bow for tonight's edition of Around the Oval. We'll also be hearing from Jim D'Souza right directly after this football game before we join the baseball game to bring you up to date on the latest. Ricky Craven of Concord, What Else Is New, has the poll for tomorrow afternoon's race. And don't you think some of those Southern boys are kind of freezing out there at New Hampshire International Speedway this afternoon? But the big Chevy dealers of New England 250 will be heard tomorrow afternoon live, flag-to-flag coverage beginning at noontime on WKXL, AM, and FM. Tonight at 8:07, ALCS game number 4, the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays from Sky Dome in Toronto. And the Twins came back to take last night's game in 10 innings on Mike Pagliarulo's home run. So it is 2-1 with Minnesota leading Toronto. But game 4 is tonight from Sky Dome, and we'll have it for you 8:07 airtime on both AM and FM. So it's a very, very busy day of sports here on the Sports Voice Capital Region. A few moments ago, Harvey Schmidt visited with the Concord High School football coach Jack Gaddy about this big homecoming game against the defending state champions from Spaulding High School in Rochester. Here's what Jack and Harvey had to say. Actually, we'll be back with that interview in just 1 minute. Stay with us.
You know, high school sports are a source of great interest and pride, not only for the schools involved, but the communities they represent. High school sports help bring a community together, providing a common focus to care about and to cheer for. Now, because of this important role in the lives of our communities, high school sports are about a lot more than winning and losing. They're about working together and growing together. And that's why high school sports are such a tradition in the Capital Region. And the Capital City law firm of Rath, Pignatelli, and Oyer, on behalf of its clients and friends, is pleased to be a part of this tradition by helping to bring these broadcasts to our community. And even more pleased to be part of a community that cares so much for its young people.
I know it was a tough loss last week against Portsmouth. It could have gone either way. Kind of a week kids have training for this one.
It was a good. We realized we gave one away last week, and we really did. You can't win a game, being down 14-0, then at the end losing 2 possessions. But kids fought hard to come back in that game, and like I said, we could have won that game and should have won the game. But in any event, after the weekend, we got back to practice, and the kids are fired up to play on this homecoming day.
You look at the film, and you get back in a more calm position, back in the quiet of the locker room and stuff. It was a great game. I mean, if you weren't involved with either school and you're just a fan there, it's just a wonderful high school game.
Oh, it was an outstanding game, back and forth. As a coach, I've never been involved in a shootout before, and that was really a shootout on both sides. You know, most of my teams have played great defense where the opponent can't score that many points, but no, it was a real shootout, and obviously the last team that had possession came up with the points.
Today at Spaulding, Coach, the defending champions, and have just enough talent back to be tough again this year.
Yeah, and they have a great mixture of talent on offense. Spearheading is their quarterback's 4-year starter, Andy Jackson. He does an outstanding job. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not the best. But he's got some great talent around him. The split end, Aaron Gagnon does a great job. He's only a junior. And their backs are good running backs.
That combination, Jackson to Gagnon, has pulled off 11 touchdowns passes this year. Any special coverage for Gagnon out there when he flanks out?
Not really. We're going to have someone on him throughout the whole game. But basically, that's for the running game more than anything. But defensively, on the zone coverages, we're rotating to their unbalanced. And I think that's going to help us out. It's going to cheat our safety over to the Gagnon side.
It's windy and it's cold here at Memorial Field, and I'm sure that you welcome this kind of weather for this game today.
Well, it'll make a difference. It might hurt maybe up. I think it will affect their passing game.
The last year, it wasn't a very pretty show last year down at Spaulding, and it was a very sound trashing Spaulding laid on Concord High. Do the kids talk about that at all this week? Is there any kind of a revenge factor in the back of their minds coming into today?
Not as much as I thought. I think for the most part, we're excited to get back on track from last week's showing. I mean, we won last week, would be 4-1 right on top of everybody else. And I think they're more disappointed with last week's loss and more excited to get back on the right track.
Hugo comes in here with an unbalanced line on offense, meaning he puts more linemen on one side of the ball than on the other. Defensively, do you make any changes to adjust to that?
Back in the old days, I did, but I found out through the years, because we read so well, our defensive linemen, we don't shift over. But I might shift the linebackers, or I might shift the coverage for the secondary, so we'll do something to offset the imbalance.
You have a young man who has been outstanding in the line this year, Tim Thompson, and I see him over there on crutches. What is his status for the rest of the season?
We don't know yet. He could be back for next week, and they're waiting for more tests. But we're going to miss him surely because he's the most consistent defensive lineman. He played outstanding.
Coach, I know there are only 2 games left after part 1 today, and I know what today means, and I know you want to get after it, so let's go do it. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Howard.
All right, Jack Gaddy, and I can tell you, man, that guy is flat out serious about today's game. Concord at 3-2, and with 2 games left after today, they really need to win 2 of the last 3, and it would be in their best interest. I mean, they haven't beaten a team this year that has a winning record. That's part of the problem. And right now, there are 4 teams fighting for that last place. For the 2 last playoff spots in Class L, Pinkerton, Merrimack, Dover, and Nashua are pretty much in right now. There's just no way they can come out of there. They have things sewn up. Spaulding could sew up a spot today with a win over Concord High, and that brings it down to 2 places left, and 12 teams fighting for those 2 places. But in reality, it comes down to Portsmouth, Concord, and Memorial, 2 of the last 3 playoff positions, and Spaulding's got a great chance to get in there. They're just too talented not to. Memorial has a very weak schedule. Concord's got to come up with a win against Winnacunnet next week, which everybody says is a given. I don't think it is. They've got to come up with either a victory here against Spaulding in their homecoming game or down on the road in Dover in their last regular season game, and it would probably be in their best interest, Bruce, this one here today, if they want to make the playoffs.
Absolutely. It's a given this year as far as any of these teams go. We've seen that time and time again as we look over the schedule and the scores, and you know, it's all pretty much up in the air, as you say, for the final few playoff spots, and this would be a big win for Concord if they could come up with it this afternoon.
We have another great matchup of outstanding head coaches. It seems like week in and week out we go through this, but in Class L, we really do have some outstanding talent running the teams. And Jack Gaddy in his 14th season at the helm for Concord, and Hugo Boland in his 27th season at the helm for the Spaulding Red Raiders. Head-to-head, Jack Gaddy holds the upper hand in 9 games to 3. 4-1 at Concord High, a very embarrassing loss a year ago in which Spaulding led 47-0 at halftime down there. And I remember, Bruce remembers it well, too. We broadcast. It was a miserable night for everybody.
And we almost set up outside on the roof of the press box, if
That's
you remember.
right. And Jack has beaten Hugo 5-2 at Trinity. They once met for the state title in '79. Jack Gaddy at Trinity and Hugo Bolin at Spaulding met for the title at Gill Stadium. Spaulding won the game 19-3. And this announcer had the pleasure of being the NHIAA stadium announcer for that game, and I remember it well. Bolin against Concord High. Now, he may be 9-3 down against Gaddy, but he's 15-9 overall against Concord High in his 26 years. And the first time that Hugo ever coached against Concord was in '64, and Spaulding beat Concord in Hugo's first game 26-14. 15-9 against Concord, but he's only 3-9 against Jack Gaddy. So we have an outstanding matchup of coaches here today, and a game that means a real big, an awful lot for both teams, but probably more for Concord High. And they have rallied the troops. They're all here today. The kings, the queens, the floats, the student body, the spirit. The band is here, and Bruce, the band has increased in numbers today, I'm told.
It sure is. The band members from the junior high school as well as the Bow schools are here with the Concord High School band today. They have a little wrinkle for the halftime show and for the national anthem coming up here momentarily on WKXL, and it should be a lot of fun this afternoon with a big crowd for the traditional homecoming game. And right now, there's no sun to be seen around the Concord, around Memorial Field, but
well, there are a lot of mothers here who see a lot of sun down there.
Yeah,
in the football
exactly.
field, right? And speaking of suns, Mike Garrett, the stadium announcer here for Concord High home games. Nice little touch for homecoming. He's announcing all the seniors on the Concord High School team instead of the starting lineup. So we're going to come back and kick it off. Spaulding in Concord. It should be a beauty on homecoming. Stay with us here on the radio.
At the Allied Insurance Agency, their motto, "Your protection is our profession," is practiced daily. Their professional staff is truly at your service when it comes to protecting you, your family, and your business with total insurance coverage at very attractive rates. The Allied Insurance Agency, owned and operated, they know the greater Concord area. They live here, and their staff utilizes the services of excellent New Hampshire insurance companies. Companies such as the Concord Group, Peerless, and the New Hampshire Insurance Company. At the Allied Insurance Agency, they believe in supporting the area's youth, and they've established a long-standing tradition of high school sports sponsorship. And once again this fall, the winning tradition of Allied Insurance and local high school football continues as Allied Insurance and WKXL bring you these live broadcasts of the Concord High Crimson Tide and the Bishop Brady Green Giant football games. From Dave Gazaway Sr. and Dave Gazaway Jr. and the entire staff of Allied Insurance Agency, good luck and good sportsmanship.
You know, these two teams have played four mutual opponents: Girton, Londonderry, Pinkerton, and Portsmouth. So you can get a pretty solid read on what to expect here. And we'll tell you how Concord High did offensively against those four teams as opposed to how Spaulding did offensively. Right after the Concord High marching band in increased numbers, junior high kids and Bow kids, thrill this overflow crowd here for homecoming with the playing of our national anthem from Concord as they move the color guard out onto the track and they bring the flags out in front of the student body section. This should be nice.
fine Concord School District and Bow band here this afternoon with the Concord High School band director Bill Matavia directing things here. Looking very sharp in their uniforms, and we are just about set to go. Military color guard, military style color guard is what took the time with the marching out there and lining up and getting the guns all set to go and everything.
Yeah, but it was nice. That was really dramatic, and you could hear a pin drop in this place. Concord High is going to get the ball, as Bruce Lavoie told you, and they are going to be driving toward the scoreboard with a very stiff wind in their back as lines up to kick off. Concord deferred on the kickoff. Spaulding chose to take the field here and to defend with the wind at their back, Bruce.
That is going to be the case as they will kick off from left to right across your radio dial with that stiff breeze blowing from left to right. And Concord High School will be receiving and moving from right to left across your radio dial as the Spaulding High School Red Raider band arrives on the scene as well. So it's a great afternoon for high school football. Come on out and enjoy it now. Here with the call, Harvey Smith.
All right, thanks, Bruce Lavoie. Aaron Gagnon gets his foot into the ball, and it's down to back at the 15. He's up to the 20, the 25, up to the 30, scrambles across the 35 near the 40-yard line, and a nice little run back for the Crimson Tide of Concord High. And running the ball back for Concord High was Donnie Ross, a halfback who he doesn't get the start, but he gets as many carries as Concord High opens up offensively from their 38-yard line with the T formation. Ryan McGonigal at quarterback, Mike Mayo, Andy Milliken, and Mark Ekstrom in the backfield for the Crimson Tide this afternoon. Straight give. Up the middle goes Mayo, the fullback, on that trap play as he comes out over the 40 for about 3 yards. In the line for the Crimson Tide offensively, John at center. He's a 6-foot senior. Dave Blosh's at right guard, a 6'1 senior. Tom Marshall at left guard, a 5'10 senior. Eric Woods at the right tackle, a 6-foot senior. Og Young, a 6'4", 240-pound senior at left tackle. Blake Savoy, the sophomore on the left end, and Gary Gott on the right end. Split back formation, second play, 2nd and 7 for the Crimson Tide. McGonigal gives it to Mayo again right into the heart of the line, and the Spaulding defense, 4-4 look, push Mayo back into the Concord backfield. No gain on the play.
Yeah, Mayo did not get an opportunity to move at all. They're going to give him forward progress back to the original line of scrimmage. It's at the 42-yard line. Brings up a 3rd down and 7 for Concord High. Just underway here, scoreless in homecoming 1991.
Andy Milliken, 6'1 senior at halfback. His mother, Sue, gave me a card with the K on the line, say Milliken. And she should know about good English. I'll tell you what, 3rd play, 3rd and 7. Will McGonigal pass. He fakes once, fakes twice, puts it in the air, and he overthrows a man at the 50-yard line. Contact, but no flag is down there, and Concord's going to have to punt into the wind, and that was one of Coach Gaddy's concerns. Sue Violet, Andy Milliken's mother, her maiden name when she was in high school, had an outstanding English teacher, so she would know all about pronunciation. And it is Andy Milliken, her son, on the football field this afternoon, as Will sets up to punt from his 30-yard line. A stiff breeze blowing into his face from the scoreboard end down. Dave Velasquez the snap. It's a good one. Ryan steps up to about the 33, puts it in the air, backing off on the Spaulding deep backs and letting it roll over the 30 down to the 25, and it comes to rest at about the 24-yard line. So I think defensively, the Crimson Tide put Spaulding in pretty poor field position. Yeah,
another Concord bounce on this field, too, for the Crimson Tide. Pins the Red Raiders back at their own 24-yard line. Harvey, you took a moment there to mention the scoreboard. The scoreboard is operative again, and what happened was water got into the wires and kind of shorted the whole thing out. So they rewired it, and it's ready to go and working here fine today.
All right, double reverse right off the Spaulding Red Raiders. And getting the call is Eric Farrell, and he comes up over the right tackle and picks up 5 yards. A double reverse in that backfield right off. Spaulding High Red Raiders on the march here early in this contest as Derek Bennett, Eric Farrell, Mike King in the backfield. Aaron Gagnon split on the right side. He's an outstanding receiver. The call goes to the fullback, Farrell, right up the middle, and he is out over the 35 to the 37, and that is going to be a Red Raider first down.
The first down of the ball game goes to Spaulding as they carry the ball out to the 38-yard line where it is a 1st and 10. Pick up of 8 on the play. They needed 4. They got 8.
2 years ago, Concord and Spaulding met here for homecoming, and Spaulding jumped out to a stunning 9-0 lead. And late in the second, a 16-6 lead, only to see Concord come back and win the game and go on to win the state title. They do not want to let Spaulding get early points here. First down for the Red Raiders from their 37-yard line. They give it to the fullback. Farrell right up the middle. He crosses the 40. And for now, Spaulding content to keep the ball on the ground, although they have a very feared passing attack. Andy Jackson, a 4-year starter at quarterback, 12 touchdown passes, 3 in the game against Portsmouth and 3 in the game against Pinkerton. And those are two of about the toughest foes you could face here in the state.
We've seen Jackson really air it out this year, too, and he has the wind to his back now, Harvey. He might be able to throw that thing 60 yards down the field.
Bennett is in motion. They give it to Bennett. It comes right up the middle of the field, and he crosses the 45 to about the 47. It won't be enough for the first down. It'll bring up a 3rd and about 2 for the first down. So a big play now here early for the Crimson Tide defense. No score if you're joining us here on homecoming day. Concord had the ball once, couldn't move it, had to punt. Spaulding has its chance right now.
Yeah, 3rd down and 2. A big call right here from their own 46.5, almost 47-yard line.
Double receivers out on the right side. One of them is that talented Gagnon kid. The other one is Bennett. A man in the slot on the left side. Now Bennett, and he gets the call again. Started steps, comes across the 47, dives ahead to the 50, and if they spot the ball there, that should be enough for the second Red Raider first down of this drive.
That stutter step threw off the Concord defense just enough. It kind of throws them in their tracks, and it does indeed allow Spaulding to pick up a first down. They're into Concord territory on the plus side of the field down to the 48-yard line. Pick up a 5 yards on the play. Needed 2, he picked up 5.
First and 10 from Concord territory, the Concord 48. Bennett is in motion. He gets the ball. He's sweeping the left side, turns up inside, crosses the 45 down to about the 43-yard line. Another healthy gain by Bennett. He planks out on the right side, and then he comes back in motion, and he's gotten the ball on the last 3 plays. This time, he picks up a healthy 6 yards.
Down to just inside the 43-yard line, down to the 42. It brings up a 2nd down and a long 4, short 5, if you will, for Spaulding.
And we have not seen Andy Jackson put the ball in the air yet.
That's surprising.
It is cold and it is windy. Bennett in motion. Left side gets the call for the 4th straight time. Crosses the 40, down near the 35, and it looks like a 3rd straight Red Raider first down on this initial drive for them.
It does indeed. If they spot the ball where he went down, it's going to be just inside the 42-yard line, and in fact on the 42, and or rather on the 37-yard, 5 yards on the play. It brings up indeed a first and Spaulding.
Derek Bennett, 6'1" sophomore back here, 170 pounds, talented obviously, and getting several calls early. On the ground come the Red Raiders from the 42-yard line of the Crimson Tide. We're in the first period. Bennett in motion again. Gets the call for the 5th straight time. Dives over the 35 down to the 33-yard line. And I guess Hugo Bowen's going to stay with this play until Concord can somehow come up with a way to stop it, Bruce.
Well, if anybody can, it would be a Jack Gaddy coach team, as he has definitely proven over the years. He's one of the better coaches in the state at changing defenses and adjusting to the situation. It is a long drive being put ahead by Spaulding now, as we had heard that they had struck quickly, but right now it's a grinded-out type drive.
The unbalanced line is to the right, and they keep running the plays to the left, and this time they give it to another back finally. It is, and he crunches ahead to about the 30-yard line. It won't be a first down. It's actually spotted at the 29, so it is 3rd and 3 for a first down from the Concord High 29-yard line.
Well, that was a good run in there by Leon, as he did indeed get hit the backfield, just kind of squirted loose a little bit, picked up a couple of yards on the play, 3 to be precise.
Oh, I think a play action here and a pass would really throw Concord off. Bennett in motion again. He gets the call left side to the unbalanced side, and he is thrown down. I don't believe he got a first down. It's going to be close.
It sure is. They're going to spot the ball right about the 26-yard line. And according to my notes, that's just about where he had to go. But he is indeed going to be about a football length shy of first down.
Big play now for the Red Raiders. And Bruce, I heard your commentary during the pregame. I did not realize this is Spaulding's game in the daylight and in the afternoon. They've played their previous 5 games on Friday nights under the lights. How well they are adjusting to the extra day's rest right now, very well, I would say. From the 27-yard line, they've got to get to the 26. Here come the Red Raiders to the line of scrimmage. They need a short dive for a first down. Straight ahead goes Bennett. First down and more. And the Spaulding Red Raiders pick up their 4th first down in this drive that started back on their 24-yard line, I believe.
It did, from their own 24 with 10:14 left to go. They're now down to just under 5 minutes, so they kept the ball for 5 minutes and 6 seconds so far. And they are just inside over the 25-yard line down to the 24.
All right, in motion comes Bennett. Now Jackson puts it in the air. He has a man open at the goal line, and he can't hang on. Wide open was Aaron Gagnon, a 6-foot junior who has caught 11 touchdown passes this year, and the ball was slightly overthrown. He made a desperate try, but it fell off his fingertips. He actually had both of his hands on that ball fairly well, Bruce.
Well, he did, and that was very, very close to a scoring play for the Red Raiders, as they indeed did have it right on his fingertips.
Should have been 6, really. He's a talent, but it is cold and it is windy. Bennett gets the call, tripped up at the line of scrimmage. He's inside to about the 24. It's going to bring up 3rd and 9, and boy, you talk about keeping the ball on the ground, and I just said a play-action pass would fool Concord. It did, but the unpredictable thing was he dropped it, and I think a catchable ball. Here it comes, 3rd and 9, a big one.
Gagnon was wide open down there, too. 4:21 left, no score first quarter.
Gagnon flanked on the right side, Bennett in the slot. And back to pass is Andy Jackson. He stops. He puts the ball in the air. He has a man open at the 20. It's a completion. He drops the ball. It won't be a fumble. Mike Mayo put a hit on the receiver down there after he fielded the ball and made him cough it up for an incomplete pass. That was Joe Sear, a 5'8 senior, a fullback who had come out of the backfield. And just as he caught the ball, he kind of had it in his arms. Mayo wrapped him up and drilled him to the ground. And the referees ruled that he didn't have the ball for completion.
That ball traveled a long way in the air, but not a long distance downfield. That would have only been a pickup of about 4 yards on the play. It brings up a 4th and 9. And what are they going to do here? It looks like they're going to go for it, Harvey.
2 years ago in this situation, they kicked the field goal. It is windy, but they have the wind at their back. Jackson back to pass on a 4th and 9 situation. The ball in the air. It is complete to Gagnon at the 10. Sidesteps a man at the 5. Dives ahead at the 2. End zone. Touchdown. Herring on the well-thrown ball from Andy Jackson. And when Gagnon took the pass at the 10, he did a super job of weaving down through the line of Concord defenders that were behind him. He had to get by 3 of them, and he did just that, making a great dive from the 2 into the end zone for the first touchdown of the afternoon, and the Red Raiders go on top 6-0. Oh, what a well-thrown ball. How many times this season? 12 times. Jackson to Gagnon for a touchdown. All right. Gagnon is now the kicker. The ball is snapped. It is down. It is into the air. It's end over end, and it is good. And the Red Raiders of Spaulding are on the board first here on homecoming day. They lead Concord 7-0. Let's see what Concord can do. Stay with us here on the radio.
With the basketball season for teams to be ordering uniforms and supplies, the best way to do that is by calling Jim Burney at Burney Sports in Concord. At Burney Sports, you'll select from the latest in uniforms, sports clothing, and equipment, and they specialize in team jackets with a great choice of sizes, colors, and styles. Best of all, you won't have to travel all over the state because Jim Burney will come to your home or office. If you're outfitting a basketball team this winter, call Burney Sports now at 224-2131, 224-2131. At Horizon Bank, we're your friends and neighbors, and serving you is our #1 priority. That's why we'll never leave you hanging when it comes to your financial needs. Each time you call or visit Horizon Bank, you'll get a friendly greeting and prompt, courteous service because we believe friends should never be kept out in the cold waiting too long. Whether you want to discuss checking services, savings plans, taking out a loan, or whatever, come on in. Communication are always open, always warm. Together, we're strong. Horizon Bank and Trust, 197 Loudon Road, Concord, member FDIC.
All right, a short kickoff. Back to the goal line comes the Concord High receiver. He comes out to the 10, the 20, cracks to the 22. Concord High was assessed a penalty on the extra point try, and so Gagnon kicked off with the wind to his back from Concord High's 40-yard line, and he put the ball down to the goal line. It looked like he purposely held back and didn't kick it over the end zone. They were inviting Concord to run it back out. Concord did that, and Ken Parker ran it out nicely.
Parker took it out 23 yards to the 23-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Tide.
All right, T formation for the Tide from their 22-yard line. All right, Andy Milliken gets the call for the Crimson Tide as he comes from right halfback across and over left tackle, and a nice lead block thrown by the guard who pulled. Dave Velocich pulled to the right side and fired out ahead of Milliken and provided a nice gain. 6 yards on the play for Andy.
2nd and 4 from their own 29-yard line.
Concord's got to come back here. Spaulding leads it 7-0. 3 minutes to play here in the first period on from Memorial Field in Concord. The snap, the give, Milliken gets the call again. He crunches over the 30, dives straight ahead to about the 34. They've got to get to the 34 for a first down. The referees move the ball back, and it's going to bring up a third and very, very short.
I'll tell you, from where they have it spotted on the field, Harvey, I just have to say that looks like a first down from here. The Spaulding scoring drive, 76 yards, 15 plays, 6 minutes and 12 seconds. A 29-yard touchdown pass from Andy Jackson to Eric Gagnon. And Gagnon the kick, 7-0, Spaulding on top.
Bruce LeVoy, you are right.
Two key.
You are right on the first down call down there. You thought it was a first down. They called for a measurement, and it is a Crimson Tide first down.
And that is Concord's initial first down of the afternoon. It brings it out to the 34-yard line.
2 Andy Milliken carries. He's now carried the ball 6 times for Concord High this year, and he has 350 yards gained on the ground and 7 touchdowns. He's become quite a force for Concord High this year. Ross on the carry this time as he goes across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Concord has to get to about the 44 for a first down. They're still in their territory. They have not been in Spaulding territory. The cheerleaders, you can hear, and I can tell you the cheerleaders are going through a war dance down there on the track of the tunes are played by the band. That's a little wrinkles this week. Yes. I like it. It's like the Atlanta Braves fans down there. The pitch coming to Ross as he skirts the left corner, turns the 40, the 45, and a first down for the Crimson Tide.
Boy, that was a nice open field tackle in there by the Spaulding defense as he was off to the races down that left side. And just an ankle catch brings him down right at the 45-yard line. Nice little pickup there of 9 yards.
I think I said, Ross, it was Shane Stafford on that 9-yard pickup. Let's give the youngster credit. 47th carry of the year for Shane. He's also been a big ball carrier. He's up near 400 yards. He needs about 12 more yards to get 400 on the year. First and 10 for the Crimson Tide from their 45-yard line. They give to Mayo. Fullback trap up the middle, and the Spaulding linebackers don't buy it as Mark Giegley throws Mayo down, and Mark is 6'2", 220 pounds. Mayo at 5'6", 160 pounds. That's like an unfair matchup.
Sure is. Pickup of 1 yard on the play. Second down and 9 for the Crimson Tide. We're a minute and a half left in the first quarter with no score. 7-0 Spaulding.
Second and 9 for Concord High. They're at their 46-yard line. T formation. Everybody in tight behind McGonigal, the quarterback. Some bumping behind him. McGonigal keeps it. Turns the left corner. Gets out over to the 46, the 47. Had a little daylight to go across that 50, but ran out of real estate and had to be content to be knocked out of bounds somewhere near the 47-yard line. So it's going to bring up third and a healthy rate here, Bruce.
Yeah, they're actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt, Harvey, and put it down on the 48-yard line. So that is a pickup of 2. Third down and 7 for Concord High. They're still in their own territory, but this is the closest they've been yet to getting across the 50-yard line.
They have to get not only the 50, but they have to get to the 45 exactly for a first down. All right, McGonigal brings the troops up to the 47-yard line. A man in the slot on the right side, double back formation. Mayo gets the call, fullback trap up the middle, and I'm telling you, Spaulding, well coached that they are, not buying that fullback trap at all.
That's right. Concord still shy of Spaulding's territory, but only by about the length of a football. Now the point of the football is nudging the 50-yard line. Pick up a 2 on the play, brings up a big 4th down and 5 play.
Ryan McGonigal is going to have to punt once again here into a stiff Memorial Field win.
Yeah, 41 seconds left. He's not going to be able to let the clock count down.
That's too bad. They can't even take a penalty and get the wind to his back. Good snap by Blossage. Mayo's, McGonigal steps up to the 40. Fair catch by Spaulding at the 30-yard line. And that's where the Red Raiders will get it, at about the 31-yard line with 27 seconds to play here in period number 1. The Red Raiders leading at 7-0, and a 29-yard touchdown pass to Aaron Gagnon. That's the 12th time this year in 91 that those two have combined for touchdowns through the airways.
That touchdown came on a 4th and 9 call, too, and they had 2 fourth down calls during that drive to keep it alive. They were successful on both, obviously.
Gagnon in the slot on the right side. Bennett in motion. He gets the call going around the left corner. He turns the corner, steps up inside of the 40, cuts at the 45 across the 50. Hauled down in Concord territory at around the Crimson Tide 45-yard line. A nice run around the left end by Derek Bennett, the sophomore halfback, who started in motion from the right side and had a full head of steam built up when he turned that corner.
Sure, down to the 44-yard line, so they're into Concord territory again with a first down. They're fifth in the ball game.
Homecoming weekend here at Concord High School. A lot of the alums here in attendance. The homestands just about. The call goes to Bennett again, and I think that the period either came to an end or Spaulding's going to be assessed a penalty for moving in that backfield before the snap of the ball.
Well, there are 3 yellow hankies down on the field.
And they all don't keep stopwatches, do they?
That's right. So we'll see. It is against Spaulding, and it will push them back out to the 49-yard line.
Dover High stayed undefeated last night, walloping 43-20 on the coast. Game was stopped with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to go because of altercations out on the field. Very nasty scene down there. We're going to talk to Dover coach Bill Bushin at halftime about his 6-0 Green Wave and about last night's altercation down there against Portsmouth. That brings to an end the first period of play here at Memorial Field for homecoming. Spaulding
along with ski clothing to fit and outfit the entire family from head to toe. Don't forget to get all the details on the Alpine boot rental program. Now's a very good time to bring in your skis. Get them all tuned up so they'll be ready when that first snow falls. For complete Alpine and cross-country ski packages, plus ski accessories and personal ski clothing, along with Alpine ski rental program, your one-stop headquarters.
On a first and 15 call, it's a pickup of 6 yards to the 43. Second and 9 now for Spaulding, Harvey.
Back to passes. Andy Jackson from midfield. He has Gagnon out, and an over-the-shoulder catch won't go down because Shane Staff had hit him. It would have been a circus catch anyway, over the shoulder with his hands. It's hard to explain. It wasn't your normal over-the-shoulder catch. He had to put his hands up sideways, and when he had the ball safely pulled in toward his numbers, Staff had put a hit on Gagnon and made him cough it up for an incomplete pass.
Jackson is 1 for 4 this afternoon for 29 yards, Harvey, but the 29-yard touchdown pass was a touchdown pass.
Andy Jackson, 5'11 senior, 4th year starting at quarterback. Quarterback the Red Raiders all the way to the state title last year. Third down and 9. Jack back to midfield to throw again. He sets up. He waits. He double clutches. He's going to keep the ball. Heads up to the middle of the field. And he's hauled down from behind on a nice open field tackle by Dave Velocich, 6'1 senior.
Flag down on the play now. And I came down at the tackle, and it is on Concord. I didn't see what the call was, whether maybe a face mask call from that angle. I would say that would be what the call would have to be. But this
nice defensive play by Dave Velocich, and you're right, it is a face mask this afternoon.
I think that's a tough call.
Well, you're 2 for 2 on calls down here. You're after a sharp start here, sir. Keep it up. 11:14 to play in the first half. Spaulding leading 7-0 if you're just joining us on the radio this afternoon. Stay with us. Homecoming here and a lot of excitement in the stands by the Concord High student body. First and 10 for the Red Raiders. Bennett in motion, gets the call, right side, turns the corner, over the 30, down to the 20. One man to beat at the 10. He's going to do it. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Spaulding.
23-yard touchdown run.
23 yards for Derek Bennett, a 6. The Spaulding holder, Andy Jackson, the quarterback. Aaron Gagnon, his receiver. Now the kicker, the hold, the kick. It is up. It is Spaulding takes a 14-0 lead. Concord High has its work cut out from them. They've been in this situation before. We'll tell you about it right after this. Stay with us.
The area's family footwear center, Denroy Shoes at 76 North Main Street in downtown Concord, invites you to the locker room. It's the new locker room at Denroy Shoes, and it's chock full of great Nike footwear and Nike clothing. The locker room at Denroy Shoes has Nikes for men, for women, and for children. The locker room at Denroy Shoes has Nike gym and book bags, Nike hats, Nike t-shirts, Nike sweats, and cool, comfortable Nike nylon jackets and pants. You'll love the selection, and you'll find the values outstanding. Of course, for athletic footwear, the locker at Denroy Shoes just can't be beat for selection. Men and women can choose a Nike shoe for every athletic activity, from walking to cross-training, from tennis to basketball, from cleated to running, from force to the Nike ear. But when it comes to athletic footwear, you look to Nike. And when it comes to Nike, look to the locker room at Denroy Shoes, 76 North Main Street, in the heart of downtown Concord.
Concord High has been held to 12 plays so far this afternoon, 21 for Spaulding, and they have a 14-0 lead, Harvey.
Crimson Tide with the wind to its back for the first time on offense this afternoon from their 30 ahead, and did he get it? They unpiled down there, and I do believe the Crimson Tide retained possession as Ryan McGonigal didn't handle the ball cleanly from the center, John Forrestal. It was lying loose on that ground for a while, and McGonigal dove ahead and recaptured the football.
Boy, it's a good thing he did, too, because that is just what Concord does not need here is any kind of a turnover. They're out to the 34-yard line. It brings up a second down and about 8.5 or 9 yards. So they picked up a yard on the fumble.
Milligan in the slot on the left side. Backs a split. Mayo gets the call. Fullback trap up the middle, and Spaulding has not allowed that fullback through the middle of the line after the trap blocks for any appreciable yardage here this afternoon.
Yeah, pick up a 3 on that play out to the 37-yard line. Brings up another big third down play for Concord, 3rd and 6.
I don't believe Bruce Ryan has put the ball in the air this afternoon, has he?
He did once, and he went 0 for 1 with a ball that was, the receiver got turned around down here on a pass play.
This is an obvious pass play here, 3rd and 7 for the Crimson Tide. They're at their 36-yard line, and Milligan is in the slot on the right side. He heads downfield. McGonigal turns the corner, puts the ball in the air, and he underthrows the intended receiver out there, and he was under a lot of pressure from Mark Gigley. We talked about Mark, the 220-pound, 6'2 linebacker, and he just crushed Ryan right there.
Yeah, that was not a very good throw, but a lot of that had to do with the pressure that Ryan was under right there. Brings up a 4th and 6. They're at their own 37-yard line. Scoring drive by Spaulding very quickly, 62 yards, 6 plays, a minute 33 seconds, and a 23-yard run by Derek Bennett.
All right, Velocic in at center for Forrestal. McGonigal back at his 25, gets a good snap, steps up, hits the football. He punts it up wobbly to Gagnon back at the 33, steps back to the 30, at the 37, back to the 35. And then he beats the trap. He's at the 50, he's at the 40. He has only McGonigal to beat at the 20-yard line, and he's not going to do it. Touchdown, Spaulding High on the run back. Gary Bryant, the man with the football, received the ball back at the Concord High 37, stepped back to about his 35, surveyed the traffic, and then zigzagged through the traffic and went all the way down for a touchdown. He fielded the ball on the left side and ended up in the right end zone, so it wasn't a straight-ahead run back, but it was pretty. And Concord's in trouble.
65 yards on one play. Concord is in trouble.
All right, Jackson to hold. The ball is down. Gagnon kicks. It is short and to the right. And for the first time, Spaulding does something less than perfect here as they take a 20-0 lead back upfield. 8:52 to play in the half. Come back and join us for more high school football here on 1450 Radio. We'll be right back.
At Horizon Bank, we're proud to serve you, our neighbors and friends, because working together, we've made this community strong. Please visit us often and let us know how we're doing. Horizon Bank, we care about making our services as complete and convenient as possible. Through continued teamwork, we'll ensure your success and the success of the entire community. Now, that's financial muscle. Together, we're strong. Horizon Bank and Trust, 197 Loudon Road, Concord, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Mike Little, and I invite you to the second annual Patrick's Pub and Eatery Boat Auction at the junction Route 11 and 11B in Guilford, New Hampshire, Sunday, October 13th at 11 a.m. Over 75 boats, motors, trailers, and accessories, many of them to be sold absolute. Directions, Route 93 north or south to exit 20, then Route 3 north to Laconia Bypass to the traffic light at the junction of 11. Left 2 miles to junction of 11 and 11B. Watch for signs. That's the second annual Patrick's Pub and Eatery Boat Auction. Don't miss it.
Out the Crimson Tide have possession of the ball at their 34-yard line. Team formation. Milliken, second man through, gets the call, dives ahead for about 3 yards, and the Crimson Tide of Concord High on homecoming here at Memorial Field have a whale of a job left for them for the rest of the afternoon. Last weekend they fell behind Portsmouth 14-0 in the first half and came back and took a 21-14 lead in that game. This afternoon behind by 20, and that's a overcome.
It sure is, even if it is on your home field. This is the defending state champions in here, folks. A team that knows they can beat Concord because they walloped them a year ago.
11 new kids on defense for Hugo Bolin's Red Raiders. And Milligan gets the call. Second man through. Steps over the 40, the 45, out to the 47, and it looks like a Crimson Tide first down. And right now, Bruce, a long sustained drive ending with a touchdown would just be the tonic that those Concord High kids need.
Absolutely. The third first down of the game as opposed to 6 for Spaulding. And the ball is out to the 49-yard line. They needed 5. They picked up 9 on the play.
First and 10 for the Crimson Tide from their 48-yard line. Key formation, everybody tight. The Red Raiders with a 5-3 defensive look at them. And as Ryan goes back to pass, he's going to be sacked back at line. First man through is Milligan. He didn't get the ball. It was a play-action pass. And McGonigal, when he stepped back, he no sooner stepped back and they were in his face, 2 defenders, and I'll tell you, a lot of defensive pressure from these Spaulding kids today.
To Ryan's credit, though, he was dead to rights back at the 40-yard line and managed to get 3 of those yards back. It does bring up a loss of 5 on the play back to the 43-yard line, so it is a second down and 15.
6:52 to play in the first half here on homecoming from Memorial Field. Second and a 15 for the Crimson Tide. The ball is snapped. It's fumbled down there. There's a large pile up again. McGonigal had to dive into the pile, and did he come up with it for the second time here? He did. They retain possession, but they lose the down, and it's going to bring up third and about 17 as they lose 2 yards on the play.
Yeah, back to the 42-yard line.
Tough for the Crimson Tide here. They need to win 2 of their last 3 to even have a shot at the playoffs. And it hasn't started well here on homecoming.
And this is the last home game for the Tide this year. At Winnicott next week, at Dover, 2 weeks from last night.
A much improved Winnicott team, I might add.
Yes.
Split back formation. McGonigal is going to try to put it in the air again. He dances back to the 45, and there's no room. They close him down at the 35-yard line. There's just absolutely no room or no time for McGonigal, the junior quarterback, to set up. He's just not getting enough time to throw the ball.
Another loss of 7 yards on the play. It's a 4th down at 21 for Concord High now.
And the thing that I've noticed weekend after weekend broadcasting Concord High football is that they give away a lot of speed to other teams, and Spaulding is another one of those quick teams in Class L here. A lot of team quickness, both offensively and defensively. Punting formation for the Tide. McGonigal at his 35. Good snap, gets the ball in the air, sends Gagnon back to the 30-yard line, and he steps up to the 40 and gets drilled back to the 35-yard line. He was not going to get a run back then. The Concord High kids were determined, and with 5:14 to play and a 20-0 lead, this is a chance to do even more damage here to Concord High's homecoming here in this half.
Spaulding has its hands on the ball now for the 4th time in the game, Harvey. They have scored on their 3 previous possessions.
Last night, Dover beat Portsmouth 43-20. The game ended with 7:30 left to play. Bill Bushin of Dover will be up here to tell us about the controversial ending to that game down on the coast last night. Jackson back to pass from his 30. He waits, puts it in the air. There's a man open at Crockett's 45, and he can't quite connect. And wide open down there was Dave Boston, a 5'9" sophomore receiver.
Jackson is now 1 for 5 in the passing department.
Tim Thompson, 6 foot, 216-pound defensive lineman, leading Concord High in tackles out of this game with a knee injury. We will talk to Timmy at halftime as his heart is broken, able to play on homecoming, and it's not the knee that's the problem. It's the head. He fell off the trainer's table after passing out, and he suffered a concussion.
Ouch.
He'll be here at halftime along with Bill Bushin of Dover. Jackson back to pass, puts it in the air, and he overthrows his intended receiver out there, and I think he did it on purpose.
I think he did, too. The Concord secondary was right on the the Spaulding receivers, and all were not able to come up with an even close play. Out of bounds over to his own bench. Brings up a 3rd and 10 from their own 36-yard line for Spaulding, and if Concord can hold them here, this will be the first time this afternoon that they have held them without getting them into the end zone.
13 touchdown passes out of Andy Jackson over 6 games this year, 12 of them to Aaron Gagnon, who is now flanked on the right side. Is there too much time as the flag goes down here? And that'll back the Red Raiders up 5 yards, and Jackson will have to put the ball in the air from somewhere around his 20-yard line. 3rd down and about 15 yards for a first down, and a wind in the quarterback's face down there.
Back up to their own 31-yard line, Harvey.
All right, Gagnon split out on the right side this time. In motion goes, he's back there to block. They wait. Jackson puts it in the air. He's got a man open and almost intercepting the ball is Ekstrom. He knocked it down and actually knocked the football up in the air, and it was a retrievable ball, but he didn't know where it was. It was like a catcher who takes his mask off looking for the pop-up and not knowing exactly where it was.
Oh, that is absolutely the case, Harvey. That was a ball that went up about 15 yards into the air before it came straight down again, right behind him. And if he just turned around or looked up, he would have had a shot at it. 4th and 15 from their own 31.
And Spaulding the punt for the first time. A good snap back to Jackson. He puts his foot in the air, and it goes shanks to the right side at the 50-yard line and takes a Concord high roll back down across the 50 into Spaulding territory. And again, that is a testimony to the way the ground crew here mows the lawn. The football, when it hits the lawn, always takes a Concord high bounce. And it did right there, Bruce. How many times have you seen a punt bounce back toward the punter? That's the first time this year, and that's because it was a foreign punter.
They're at the plus side of the field for the first time this afternoon, the 47-yard line, and that's the first punt for Spaulding this afternoon, too.
All right, Milligan gets the call, second man through, dives straight ahead to about the 45-yard line. And Concord High needs a score in a hurry to be able to go into that locker room with some kind of momentum for the second half. They trail 20-0 with 4 minutes to play in the half.
Yeah, this would be a big time for Concord to come up with a score here and get their heads back in this game a little bit. They're down to the 46, pick up a 1, 2nd and 9.
Shane Stafford heads into that fullback slot. Mayo heads out, tight T formation from the 46-yard line. Milligan gets the call. First man through, goes across the 45, and then keeps his feet, dives ahead to about the 41-yard line. Everybody piled on Andy, but he still, tough as he is, kept his presence and his legs and got a few more yards out of it.
Keep those feet moving. You never know what's going to happen. And right there, he picked up about 4 yards more than he should have gotten, frankly, on that play. He's there down to the 42-yard line, and that is a pickup of 4 yards on the play. It brings up a 3rd down and 5, and another big call for the Crimson
Wooded
Tide.
in the Concord High backfield for one of the few times this afternoon on this big 3rd down play. The ball will be snapped from the 45. Wooded gets the call, turns the corner across the 40, the 35, the 30. One man to beat at the 20. He's not going to do it, but he's got a nice run. Jack Gaddy put him in just for that purpose. One of the quickest kids on the team. It was a jet play from the fullback position. Took the pitch, turned that left corner in a hurry. And my, was it nice to see speed out of the Concord High feet for a change.
Absolutely. Pick up a 22 yards on the play, Harvey. Down to the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for Concord.
Nice run by Pat Wooded down there. He is a 5'10 senior, 170 pounds, and nice quick feet. Milligan in the tackle slot on the right side, as the play will probably go to that side, and it does. Milligan throws a good lead block to allow Stafford to get inside that 20, down close to the 15-yard line.
An extended halftime show here today with the Queen candidates being introduced, the floats, the winners being introduced, plus 2 bands on hand to do the big band show. So ought to be a lot of fun. Stay with us. We'll pick up some of the music and have some interviews for you as well.
Bill Bushin, the head coach of Dover, one of our halftime guests. His team's 6-0 and waiting for Concord High in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Milligan gets the call. The rugged senior goes straight ahead on the left 2nd down situation. We're going to bring up about 5 for that 1st down. Or they back him up. A little bit of a loss on the play after the spot of the ball.
Yeah, I tell you.
3rd and 6, Bruce.
That's right. 3rd down and 6 from the 16-yard line for the Crimson Tide. Spaulding will be playing Dover next Friday night, Harvey, and that should be an interesting game. That game will be in Rochester.
It'll be a great game. Pat Wooded back in there. Milligan is flanked out on the right side. 3rd down and 7 for the Crimson Tide. Wooded gets the pitch, tries the right side, and Spaulding doesn't let him. As Pat had all he could do to get back to the original line of scrimmage at the 16-yard line, and it's going to bring up a 4th down play for the Crimson Tide. We have seen Coach Gaddy go for field goals twice in this situation this year, and Garrett Stum was successful in both, but they're down 20 points. I would imagine he's going to try and here. He's putting his 6'6" end out there, Rob Sawyer.
Minute 28 seconds left here in the first half of play. 4th and 5 from the Spaulding 15 for Concord High, and they are going for it.
Rob Sawyer, 6'6" at the right end. Ross out of the backfield in the slot on that right side. McGonigal jump pass. He's looking for Sawyer. Jumps it into the end zone, and Rob was at the 5-yard line, and the ball was thrown too quickly out there. Ryan just unloaded it a little too soon because Rob didn't have a chance to get down and set up. And he did well to even reach up and touch that ball and keep it away from a Spaulding High defender. But the Red Raiders are going to take over at their 15-yard line.
So Concord come close, but no cigar there as they take over with a minute and 11 left here in the first half.
So Andy Jackson brings the Red Raiders to the 15-yard line with a 20-point lead and a little over Memorial Field clock to run out here. Derek Bennett in motion, straight inside handoff to the fullback. He goes straight ahead, does Eric Farrell, a junior. Eric Farrell is a junior. Bennett is a sophomore. Mike Leon is a freshman. And Aaron Gagnon is a junior. A lot of talented backs and receivers back for next year already, Bruce.
Boy, you got that right, Harvey. It's nice to have the clock back, too. We'll explain what went wrong with it over the course of the last couple of weeks here. We now know the answer.
Second down and 8 for Spaulding, deep in their territory. They're just trying to ride out the clock here and make sure that Concord doesn't get his hands on the football with just about a half a minute to play. Bruce tells you about the clock here. It is a new one for Memorial Field this year. And when you look at the setting down there with the nice dark board and the nice lighted numbers and the trees behind it, we've always had those beautiful greens with the pines and the maples all summer, but now you have the foliage behind it. It's pretty down at that end of the field.
It sure is. 3rd and 5 from their own 20 for the Red Raiders.
Bennett in motion. Jackson going to put it in the air. He does. He's got Bennett out on the flat at the 20 up to the 25. That's where they had to get for a first down. Let's see where they spot the football. But that would be a big first down for Spaulding because they wouldn't have to punt it away to Concord. 7 seconds left to play as the officials sort it out.
Mark it out to the 26, and indeed it is a first down for Spaulding, and that is their
start the clock, and that should be the last play of the first half. Spaulding was just content to keep the clock going out there. They weren't looking to add more. They lead it 20-0 here on Concord High's homecoming, and a big crowd disappointed, obviously, as the bands from both schools get set to entertain this large homecoming crowd. The Red Raiders of Spaulding, 3 scores. An Andy Jackson to Gagnon pass, 29 yards for 1 score. Derek Bennett, 23-yard touchdown run. And Gary Bryant, a 63-yard run back of a Concord High punt for the 3rd Spaulding touchdown. And the Red Raiders are in command. The Crimson Tide of Concord High, who have come back against the Red Raiders in homecomings past, will try to do just that in the second half. We'll get ready for our halftime show. Here at halftime, we are going to talk to Bill Bushin, the head coach of Dover High School, whose Green Wave is out to 6-0, everybody. They are just playing terrific football. They had a tough game with Portsmouth last night. Not tough in the sense that they handed the Clippers a 43-20 spanking, but in the fact that the game was called with 7:30 to go. We'll get Bill's thoughts in that game, and we're going to talk to Concord High School's Tim, very valuable senior lineman, who was out with a knee injury. He'll be joining us at halftime later on. So come back for our halftime show. The Red Raiders on homecoming day here for Concord High lead Concord's Crimson Tide 20-0. We'll be back after this timeout.
You know, high school sports are a source of great interest and pride, not only for the schools involved, but the communities they represent. High school sports help bring a community together, providing a common focus to care about and to cheer for. Now, because of this important role in the lives of our communities, high school sports are about a lot more than winning and losing. They're about working together and growing together. And that's why high school sports are such a tradition in the Capital Region. And the Capital City law firm of Rath, Young, Pignatelli, and Oyer, on behalf of its clients, is pleased to be a part of this tradition by helping to bring these broadcasts to our community. And even more pleased to be part of a community that cares so much for its young people.
Halftime here at Memorial Field, Concord High School's homecoming, and the Spaulding High School Red Raider band out on the field, and Concord High School's 90-plus band in the end zone ready to get its turn here. Spaulding High leading 20-0 if you're just joining us on the radio, as Hugo Boland, who claims he has an offense as good as anybody in the state, proved that here on a cold, windy day. Andy Jackson with his 13th touchdown pass of the season to Aaron Gagnon in the first period, 29 yards through the air. Derek Bennett, a 23-yard touchdown run around the right side. Bryant, a 63-yard punt return run back, leading to Spaulding High School's shutout here, 20-0. Dover High won a tremendous football game down on the coast last night. You Concord fans know all about the Portsmouth Clippers And the great ball game that the Clippers and the Crimson Tide played last week, it went right down to the last snap of the football before Portsmouth finally prevailed. And last night, Bill Bushman's Dover Green Wave and the Portsmouth High Clippers got together down on the seacoast, and they had quite a show down there as Dover prevailed 43-20. And I think Bill Bushing, who is back for his third time as the Dover High School varsity coach, is really enjoying himself now as he makes the rounds around the state of New Hampshire and reacquaints himself with a lot of friends. And you seem to really enjoy not only coaching back at Dover, but going out to the other games, enjoying your coffee and the camaraderie with your coaches, and taking part in the 50-50 raffles, Bill. And have you ever hit one of those things?
No, I never win anything like that. I could have every ticket in the box and they'd lose it. But it's always fun to just put a couple of bucks in it. I'm sure it helps the school's programs, and so I don't mind doing that. I don't expect to ever win anything. I got about as good a chance in this as I have in a national. None at all.
The 50-50 things here have been quite productive for winners here at halftime. One gentleman walked out of here with $147 one night. We had a nice crowd early in the year. So maybe you'll be lucky today.
Well, that'll be a new wrinkle for me.
We talked a couple of weeks ago here at halftime on one of the Concord High games, Bill, and at that time your kids were 3-0, and you were taking the games one at a time, and I believe that. I sincerely believe that, knowing coaches the way I do. And now you're 6-0 with 2 games to go. You got to believe that the Dover Green Wave is in the hunt this year.
Well, I think that we've got a good chance to make the playoffs, but, you know, very well. We have 2 very, very tough games ahead. We've got Spaulding next weekend and Concord to follow them, so it's not what you call 2 breathers at any rate.
6 get you in, but that's probably not the most important thing for you now as a head coach. If you, in fact, are going to get into the playoffs, which mathematically I don't see how you can't get in now, but you want to go in there on an upbeat. You certainly don't want to go in there with 2 losses.
No, that's for sure. You know, we're concentrating on next weekend and trying to bring our kids together and get them up for this game. We had an injury to one of our linemen, and as I told you, be thin in the ranks. We really don't have a player without it being a freshman or sophomore kid who are well below the level that's needed. The game was a very physical one. And, you know, we're just hoping that we can stay healthy for this game, because obviously Spaulding is an excellent football team, and they're next. I'm not degrading Concord in the slightest. I'm just saying that my thoughts right now are on Spaulding.
And they should be. I mean, the Spaulding team are the defending state champions, and starting to put it together. They had a big win against Portsmouth last week, and they come out here against a fired-up Concord High team on homecoming and just absolutely control that football offensively as they scored 3 touchdowns, and they offensively are so solid, Bill.
Oh, yeah, they are. And all you have to do is go back and look at all their football games and realize that when it comes to putting points on the board, Spaulding is certainly up there with the very best, if not the best in the state.
They certainly handled last weekend and probably could have scored 100 if Hugo wanted to leave the troops in. But gracious as he was, he started pulling them out at halftime. And I was impressed with Portsmouth as a football team, and Spaulding just ran all over them.
Portsmouth is a tough little football team. Believe me, they've come a long way since very early in the season, and they are an exceptional team. They don't have any quit in them, and of course Spaulding certainly doesn't have any either. But as you pointed out, Hugo took a steam out of there, and Portsmouth kept their starters in and narrowed the margin down considerably.
Before we get into last night's game that you played against Portsmouth that ended 7.5 minutes prematurely because of on-field antics, let's just set the stage for the game. Portsmouth High was in an almost must situation a week ago against Concord High, and I know you were at that game. And the 2 teams went back and forth, trading the lead, and the game added down to the last snap of the football. You being an outsider, not from either school, you must have really enjoyed that Concord-Portsmouth game last Friday night.
Not exactly. I mean, it was a terrifically interesting game to watch, but I wasn't certainly enjoying it because I knew we had to play a Portsmouth team that was certainly going to be sky high to play us, and I knew that Jack's team was certainly going to come out, you know, ripping for bear after that close ball game, which they almost pulled out in the last few seconds. But as far as being a fan, yeah, it was an exceptional game to watch. I mean, both teams just did an outstanding job up and down the field. It was a free-for-all out there as to who was going to score next. And I think anybody who paid to see that football game got a lot more than their money's worth out of it.
And had the game gone on, I imagine it would have gone on the same way. Concord would have scored, Portsmouth would have scored, Concord would have scored, and would have just kept going till midnight. If you know,
it looked that way.
Neither team wanted to lose.
No, they didn't. It was an inspired football game on both sides.
And Concord was the favorite, I do believe, on paper, but games aren't played on paper. And Tom Dobney had them ready. So based on this great win where they pull it out in the final minutes of play against Concord High, they head up the road now to play a Seacoast rival in Dover. And I imagine Dover last night, that was an emotionally charged setting.
Boy, it surely was. We really were low-key most of the week with our players because they brought the attitude to the game before we ever got there. Monday afternoon, they were on the field a half hour before practice started. It's the first time I've ever walked out and seen our entire team waiting for us.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so we knew they were ready, and we really didn't do much to try and instill any emotion in them because I think we might have overdone it. We just left the kids... It's the first time this season I've been out there and seen that kind of reaction from our players. I was stunned to see them all out there waiting for us.
If you're just joining us on the radio, the voice you hear is Bill Bushin, the head coach of Dover High, whose Green Wave defeated Portsmouth last night, 43-20. His team is 6-0. Concord High trailing here on homecoming against Spaulding, 20-0. And Jack Addy trying to regroup the kids downstairs. Bill, the score was 40. That's all we have in terms of the game last night. Tell us how the scoring went. What was it like after one period at the halftime? Did you dominate from the opening whistle?
Not right away. We chose to receive the opening kickoff, and Spaulding came out. We knew they would spend probably 90% of their week practicing their offense against us. We were quite certain that would happen, and they did. They threw screens and things all over the field, and a tremendous game plan, and we bent, and finally we intercepted actually the very first pass of the game on the first or second play, and then we gave it right back to them with a fumble. Then they turned it on and started to move the ball all over the field, and we finally picked off another one. We went in leading 20-6 at halftime, and we finally moved the score up to where it was 43. They ran a punt back against us. It was 43-13. We pulled our team out, sent our junior varsity in, which is made up predominantly of freshmen and sophomores, and within 40 seconds, Portsmouth came down the field, just rumbled over us for about 80 yards, just tore those kids to pieces, and went in to score. So when it narrowed the margin now to 43-20, we put our starters in because we knew it was going to be an onside kick. And then a lot of things happened, a lot of bad things. Fortunately, they didn't happen on the field, but they did happen on the Portsmouth sideline, and just got to be, I think, a travesty, a terrible situation over there, and the game had to be stopped. I think it was the best thing. The officials called it, but it was awful.
There were over 7 minutes to play when they called it.
That's right.
Yeah. And are you telling us now that it really wasn't the athletes on the field that actually caused the stoppage? It was the fans involved in the sideline?
Well, I don't know what happened. I was on the other side of the field. I'm worried about our team. We spent our entire halftime telling our players that the last thing in the world we wanted from them was to do anything to have one of them taken out of the game or allow themselves to be intimidated, and we didn't do any coaching at halftime. We really didn't. I don't like that situation, but I could sense it. There was a problem on that sideline. One of the Portsmouth coaches was ejected for some kind of rigmarole with the lines people who were running the chains. About 4 minutes after that, a situation arose over there where their entire sideline, it looked like, fans, players, coaches, everybody just mauled the chains crew, and the Portsmouth team left the field immediately. Our kids thought about what we'd said, but when everybody swarmed in there on that pile of those couple of fellows, they went too. And I rushed across the field, managed to get, there were only about 4 of our players who had gone in to try and pull the pile off. Managed to get them away, but it was just a desperate
that sounds
situation.
Awfully scary. And so
we do have
fighting actually broke out then, huh?
Yeah.
That's scary.
It was a bad deal. I don't know what happened, but I know that our players throughout the game were coming off the field telling us that there was some vicious language, and they were really being subjected to an awful lot of mistreatment that way. Now, why the coach was put out, I don't know. But I don't know. Some tell me that he came back again, and that's where the problem arose. the chain people had anything to say. I'm not taking one side or the other because I don't know. My concern was with our football team, and when I saw the team leave the field immediately, their team rushed with the whole crowd that was just toppling on top of these chains people, I went across the field to grab our players, and that in a few seconds everything was cleared. But it was it was not a pretty thing to see, and my concern was to keep our kids away from it.
Were any of the Portsmouth kids involved in the either trying to break up the melee or involved in the
They were involved in it. I'll be very honest. The kids who left, the second they saw their team on the sideline go after these guys, they went right there. And then our guys, once they saw what was happening, they started afterwards. But as I say, I have the Continental Cable Vision run of it. We've taken it to our superintendent and our principal, and they've looked at it, and it very close that we didn't have anything to do with this thing, but we went over to try and assist later. After the thing was in a pile, we went over to assist those guys, get them out of it. And, right now, it's a situation where one of our players took a left and a right to the face, and they ejected a Portsmouth player and a coach, and then later said that our kid was out of the game, too, which would mean discipline for the next week, and we're not going to sit back as... It shows very clearly what happened.
Well, if you have that game tape, that's a good thing. And we're talking to Bill Bushin, the Dover High School coach, whose team beat Portsmouth last night, 43-20 on the coast. Spaulding leading here at homecoming for Concord, 20-0. The game in Portsmouth, or in Dover, between Portsmouth and Dover, called off with over 7 minutes to go because of a very serious melee that you're now hearing about from Bill Bushing. And I'll tell you, Coach, Tom Dobney, did you and Tom talk about it after? Did you guys have a chance to meet?
Both of us got our teams headed in the directions they should be. He took his to their bus. I took mine to the locker room as quickly as possible. Again, the players on the field did nothing on either side. Their sideline just erupted on the chain. Portsmouth players, when they saw all of their players, I'm sure their instinct was, hey, we're all into this thing, whatever's happened. When our guys looked and saw them go, and then saw the chains people under these piles, and people were really giving them some licks. One of them got taken to the hospital.
Wow.
Whether or not they started this, I don't know, but I find it hard to believe that people have been on those sidelines for years. And again, I'm not involved with the chain. Do you understand?
I understand that.
I don't know what happened, but it would seem to be pretty stupid to be trying to take on a team, coaches, and fans. It was an ugly thing there. Then our kids ran over there, and it's very evident. You can see it in the film. I mean, fortunately, Continental Cable stayed right on the thing, and our players, please understand what I'm saying. They did go, but they didn't go until everybody else had been over there, and then they went to try to get the piles off, and, they were not involved in this thing. But the play from Portsmouth or Dover, they didn't do anything.
And
it came
sounds
from
like
the sideline.
Both you coaches handled it well, and your first concern were those kids, and it sounds like you were successful, both of you, in getting your kids out of there and out of sight undercover.
And we did, and there was no repercussion. Nothing came of that at all. The players, both sides, left. It was a stunner for me. I really would like to be able to sit back and enjoy that football game, but to tell you the truth, I hardly slept at all last night because no high school athletic contest, I don't care what it is, should ever have to end in that fashion, and it's a terrible disappointment to me. I just feel terrible about it because it just ruined the whole evening, and it just shouldn't have happened. If our chains crew had anything to do with it, or whatever, it shouldn't have come to that. Somebody should have been under control of it.
I guess, I'm not going to attack your chain crew because I wasn't there, but I would ask, how are they doing physically? Were any of them seriously hurt at this?
I'm not sure if one had a broken nose. He was bleeding pretty badly on the ground. And again, whether he deserved it or didn't deserve it, I can't tell you. I don't know. I saw the coach ejected about 4 minutes before this, in a way. They had altercations with the chain crew, but the officials put the coach away. That leads me to believe something. Then, about 4 minutes later, this whole situation just erupted, and all I could see, I thought the Portsmouth players were fighting amongst themselves, to be honest with you. I couldn't understand what was happening, and then it was like a wave. They just rolled over these people. The Portsmouth players immediately jumped into the fray, and then about 5 of our kids went over there. They rushed towards the pile where they were trying to, pulled some people off. It probably got involved with players because in that situation, everything happens. I was across the field as quick as I could. I don't know where Tommy was, but I'm sure he was trying to grab as many players of his as he could. I believe his wife was involved in this somehow. It was just the situation. That's all.
That is
never should occur in any high school event of any kind. It just left me drained.
I don't know how much a chain crew can influence the outcome of a ball game anyway. I mean, it's handled by the 4 or 5 officials that are down on the field, and I know that sometimes chain crews out there and they may yell encouragement out to their players and things like that, but they have a minimal effect on the game, don't they?
Well, I've seen a chain crew that had anything to do with it except for fourth, and I mean, to me, I think guys have to have their head examined if they're going to be on the opposite team's sideline mixed in around. I know the crowd had forged. There were crowds on their side that should not be, all right? They should not be on the field. That is our fault as far as our game management is concerned. I'm sure that there will be corrections taken for that. That shouldn't be allowed. However, it was a nasty situation. A lot of verbal abuse going on over there. I know our players told us about it. I couldn't hear it. I don't know what was going on back and forth, but it was not a good situation. Okay?
I really appreciate you spending some time with us here and addressing the altercation last night that ended that game at 7:30. I have a category, Coach, on a lighter note. This year that I've introduced into sports make the listener go, And last night when I heard Dover 43 and Portsmouth 20, quite frankly, I did a double I said I knew Portsmouth was up coming in there. And I want you to know that knowing that the game ended 7.5 minutes early doesn't diminish what Dover High and your kids did in that football game. To beat Portsmouth 43-20, that's not overlooked by us people who are outside your community. I know you went through an awful lot emotionally as the head man over there, and the game was ruined for you personally, but that's a great win for your kids.
I'm sure it is, but it wasn't a great win for us in the locker room. Our kids were really beside themselves in there. We'd heard that one of our players was being put out of the game because of this, and the film clearly shows that he was punched twice in the face, standing. He's simply standing. It was very upsetting. I'd have been able to be happy we weren't. Our kids were really down. The coaches were down. It was a demoralizing thing for everybody concerned. I'm sure Portsmouth feels the same way. I'm not faulting anyone. I really am not. I'm just saying that the players on the field did not cause that incident. And to me, that is very, very important. Yep. If it had come from the teams on the field doing something like that, I would be completely distraught. I'm already, at a situation where I just feel so bad about this whole thing. But honestly, I don't think the films lie. It clearly indicates that this altercation started over there. The whole thing began there. Who started it, I am not going to try to defend because I don't know. But it just never should have happened.
Well, listen, I know this is your third time back at the helm. Dover was 1-7 a year ago. They're 6-0 this year, and don't lose sight of the fact why you came back and what's happening to the kids. I really have admired the job that you've done down there, and you personally as a coach. You can't let this taint your even wanting to be back on the bench down there. You've done a lot of good, and not only your community, but the entire state sports fraternity has respected the job you've done. And continue with it, Coach, and try to put this aside.
Well, I appreciate to our players later, and I told them, and I mean this, and I'll say it publicly. I said if I felt that I ever saw them again in any way involved, that I felt we had instigated anything, as far as I was concerned, it would be over for me right there, because I've never coached football that way. I can't stand it. If a player on my team ever fights or does anything, I'm going to have him out of the game, because now he's just proven to the other team they're better football players. He wants to try another sport. I never believed in that kind of an attitude. And we've worked hard with our kids, and our kids have worked hard, and I feel so bad for them, because they did not deserve any kind of ridicule in that situation. They came out the second half and did what we told them to do. But I know that a response like that, when they see that kind of a situation on the sideline and see two people whom they know down underneath the pile, they're going to react to it. I think any kids are going to. If they didn't do anything out of the way, I don't think most of the Portsmouth either, but I just can't condone it, and I appreciate it, but believe me when I tell you that the coaching has been very little. Our players have brought a lot of pride, a lot of determination not to be the kind of football team they've been the last 3 years. And they're very proud of themselves, and they work very hard, and I think the world of them. But it really isn't coaching. I wish I could say that we went down and did a miracle. We haven't. We coached every day like everybody else does around the leagues. They've really responded and brought it from themselves. You know, they're just great kids.
Well, Concord will be down there in 2 weeks to Dover High School, and it could be a scenario where you're looking for an undefeated season and the number 1 or 2 seed in the state, and we're looking for a tournament berth. It could be a great game. Coach, I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for your time.
To it too.
All right, Bill Bushing, and you can tell he's greatly hurt by what happened last night down there on the coast. 7:30 to go in the game. It was called, but Dover beat them 43-20. We'll be back with more homecoming here. Spaulding leading 20-0. Can Concord regroup? We'll tell you about it right after this. Stay with us.
Bobby Young and the staff of Young East Florist at 30 Manchester Street in Concord would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone associated with the Concord High and Bishop Brady football teams the very best of luck during their respective 1991 football seasons. You know, high school has a very important role in any successful community. And through the dedicated hard work put in by the staff and members, the Crimson Tide and Green Giant players learned to work together.
We are back here at Memorial Field in Concord, 20-0 with the Spaulding Red Raiders out on top of Concord High. Spaulding set to kick off, Concord to receive, going right to left into the wind this afternoon, Harvey.
All right, Andy Gagnon gets his foot into the ball, and it's coming all the way down to about the Concord 15. Donnie Ross picks it there, backs up to the 10, and then heads upfield over the 20 to 25 and out to about the 28-yard line. Tim Thompson, the senior lineman, not in this game today, with us now on the radio for a couple of plays. Tim, what was the mood like in the Concord High locker room?
Well, it's a little bit somber right now. We made a few adjustments, and basically what it boils down to is we've got to fire out on both lines. Our lines aren't playing up to what we should be right now.
Your offensive line wasn't giving Ryan McGonigal throw the football.
No, we're not. Hopefully the adjustments we've made should basically help us out this half.
All right, stay right there, Tim. Matty Ekstrom gets the call from his halfback position over the 30 to the 34-yard line. At times this afternoon, Tim, Concord has been able to move that football.
Yeah, we have. It's coming down to a few times they're doing a lot of different things with their defensive line. They're shooting different people. They're stunning on us. And it just comes down to we have to adjust to what they're doing to us.
Stay right there, Tim, for a couple more plays. Second down for the Crimson Tide. The ball is at about their 39. They've got to get to the 44. 2nd and 5 for the Tide. Inside handoff, first man through. It looks like the fullback has it, pulls out over the 40. And a flag goes down after the tackle is made. Mike Mayo on that fullback trap got the Concord High first down. And after he was down, a face mask penalty against the Red Raiders. And Bruce, that's the first major penalty against the Spaulding Red Raiders.
It sure is. Concord had one earlier up a face mask as well, but on kind of a questionable play, I think, on that one. But anyway, at any rate, it is into Spaulding territory now as they mark the ball all the way down to the 42-yard line. So Concord with what turns out to be a pretty good pickup, 1st and 10, their 5th first down of the ball game.
We're just underway here in period number 3, homecoming this afternoon, and the Crimson Tide not enjoying it as of the moment. 1st and 10 for the Crimson Tide from Spaulding's 42-yard line. Second man through. Andy Milligan gets the call over left tackle across the 40. Stays on his feet to about the 38-yard line, and Andy, a tough man to tackle here this afternoon, refuses to come down on that first hit and gets the Tide 5 or 6 tough yards. Tim Thompson, lineman, not in the game today. Hurt your knee on Thursday. What happened?
Well, after Thursday's practice, I came back to the trainer's room, and I noticed there was a lot of fluid buildup in my knee. I fainted in the locker room and fell off the table.
And his poor face, everybody, that handsome face with scars and marks all over it. All right, first man through Mayo. Fullback Trap gets the call, and he's down to the 35-yard line.
Tim, have your teammates given you a hard time about falling off the table in the trainer's room?
No, they just saw me for the first time today because I was just released from the hospital this morning.
Oh, wow.
And so it isn't the knee as bad as the painful face, huh?
No, the knee is really a secondary concern. It's just fluid. The orthopedic doctors aren't too worried about it. They're worried more that I lost my memory for 9 hours after I hit the floor.
Oh, boy. What kind of a performance can we expect out of you in the classroom next week there, Tim? All right, third down and short for the Tide from the 35-yard line. Big play. Mayo, first man through, gets the call. He comes across the 35, the 33, down to the 32. And if the men in striped shorts leave that ball there, the Crimson Tide will have another first down, and they do on this drive.
They marked it back, but to the 31, so that's still enough for the first down, as you mentioned, Harvey.
Tim Thompson, how important is this first drive to the Tide?
This is going to be a marker. If we can get this ball in the end zone, it'll fire up. Hopefully we can get the ball back and drive it back down again.
No question.
Did they leave the locker room on an upbeat note after talking to the coaches?
Yeah, we are. The coaches said a few things. Our linemen and our backs are all fired up. We want to get back in this game.
All right, 1st and 10 from the Tide. The pitch back to Shane Stafford. Turns the left corner across the 30 inside to the 28-yard line. Pat Woodard on the call. No, that was Shane Stafford. I was right on my original call. Pat Woodard get in there for his speed there, Tim, and a couple of nice carries in that first half.
Yeah. We're trying to use a few different things in the backfield. Try to move maybe Stafford to halfback now and then. Try to use our speed on the outside maybe.
2nd down, 7 for the Tide. The ball is at Spaulding's 28-yard line. And Mayo gets the call. First man through, stays on his feet at the 26, down to the inside to the 23-yard line. Mike Mayo was hit at the line of scrimmage, didn't come down, slanted off to his right and made a nice gain out of that, Bruce.
Yeah, down to the 22-yard line, so it's pick up of 6 yards on the play. Brings up a 3rd down and 1.
3rd and 1 for the Tide. 4 down territory in here. It wouldn't be a tragedy if they didn't get it. Starting backfield back there. Mayo with full. McGonigal with the long count to give. And Andy Milligan gets the call left side across. He slashes down close to the 20. Did he get enough for the first down?
I'm going to try to go 3 for 3 and say he did. It looks like he has got it from where they marked the ball, Harvey, just inside the 21-yard line.
And they move it about the length of a football away, and now they bring the trains out. And Bruce Lavoie, who is perfect on the afternoon, predicts the first down here. How about that? He's right. 7:48, the Crimson Tide. First down from Spaulding's 21.
It's a good clean living, Harvey. That's what does it. Pick up a 1 on the play. That's what they needed. 1st and 10 from the Spaulding 21. This would be a big momentum builder for Concord High if they could punch it in here. No question.
Fell behind 14-0 a week ago down in Portsmouth and came back in that ball game, and it turned it into a great ball game down the stretch. T formation from the 21. Everybody in tight behind McGonigal. Offside goes Spaulding. Were they drawn up? This would be a big 5-yard penalty. It would give Concord 4 cracks at a 5-yard first down play. And it is going against the Red Raiders. A little antsy, that Red Raider defense that has been so solid all this afternoon. A lot of quickness, Timmy, with the Red Raider defense.
Yeah, our primary concern coming into the ball game was Clayton Chase, their nose guard. He's a real quick guy off the ball. He stunts well. He's a real aggressive defensive ball player.
He's been there for 3.5 years for the Red Raiders. Got a lot of experience, too. First and 5 from the 16-yard line. Andy Milliken gets the call across the 12 down to the 10-yard line. And if they leave the ball there, it'll be first down.
It's 1st and goal for Concord High.
How big is this touchdown for the Crimson Tide if they can punch it in here on homecoming? The stands almost packed here on the home side. They've had very little to cheer about this afternoon. The ball is right at the 10. They could get a first down. It's within inches of the goal line. For all intents and purposes, it's 1st and goal to go. Split back formation for the Tide. Strength on the right side. McGonigal keeps the ball, and he's not going to go anywhere. He's thrown for a loss, as Ryan has had trouble getting out of the chute and around the end this afternoon, Tim. The linemen just so quick over there.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of problems with their defensive ends. They're lining up into different positions on either side. They shift around, and it's coming. We have to fire out and get our hook blocks on those defensive ends.
All right, Pat Woodard's in there, Tim. Are they going to use the pitch to him right now?
Well, he's a tight end, so we look for him probably to run to the left here.
All right, Mayo and Milliken and Ekstrom back in tight. Woodard is on the end position. It is a pitch to Mayo, left side, across the 10, down to the 8, and he runs out of room. He had more distance between them, but the Spaulding defenders were quicker than Mike was on that play. A nice play by the Crimson Tide. A little lack of speed on Michael Mayo's part. He had daylight than that.
Pick up a 5 yards on the play, though. Brings it down to just about the 7-yard line. And Harvey, on this drive, Concord has equaled its offense in the first half as far as first downs go anyway. They got 4 in the second half. They only had 4 by halftime.
How many plays, too, Bruce? Track that down because they had held on to the ball well here. Third down and goal to go from the 7-yard line. Second man through. Andy Milligan, he's stacked up at the 5-yard line. And it comes down to the biggest play of the afternoon. It's going to be 4th and 5 for the Tide from the Spaulding 5-yard line.
And it will be the 15th play of this drive coming up.
All right, Tim Thompson, what will Coach Gaddy go with here?
I don't know. This is a tough call here.
This is why he makes the big bucks. You know that, don't you? Tim Thompson, Concord High School starting defensive lineman, out with a knee injury this afternoon, spending some time in the broadcast booth with us. All right, they're in tight in the T from the 5. Mayo at fullback. Ekstrom and Milligan back there. Sprinting to the right side is McGonigal. He pumps. He tries to run. He stunts at the 5. He's down to the 2. He dives ahead to the goal line. And remember, there is a gap of about 4 or 5 inches there between the goal line and the first down marker. It's going to be very, very close. Boy, if Crockett doesn't get it in, Bruce, they are going to have Spaulding pinned back in there pretty well.
Nobody's saying anything on either side of the ball right now. They're just looking at the placement from the guys in the white shirts.
You know, give Ryan McGonigal credit because they had him pinned at the 5 and then again at the 4, and he just dove ahead, and then he put his arms out, and it is a first down for Concord High from the 2-inch line. McGonigal made it when he put his arms out at the last second. The edge of the football, the nose, is snuggled right up against the goal line, and Concord's got 4 cracks at it.
Unbelievable.
Who's going to get the call? Probably Milligan here.
I went for Milligan on this one.
Milligan with 7 touchdowns on the year has been their short yardage expert. In tight is everybody. McGonigal takes the snap. The handoff to Andy. Left tackle. He's in, and Concord's on the board. Andy Milligan steps in with his 8th touchdown of the year. And the Crimson Tide kids come alive down on that football field as they high-five and their teammates on the bench hug each other. And can they come back here on homecoming? 20-6. Garrett Stum, who is 13 of 15 in extra point tries this year, will line up the ball at the 10-yard line. Mike Mayo is in for the quarterback, McGonigal, to hold, and Dave Blosage is in for John Forrestal, the center. The snap, the hold, the kick by Stum. It's into the air, and it is good. And the Crimson Tide are trying to come back here on homecoming. 20-7, Spaulding leads it. You come back and join us on the radio.
Here's an offer that you can hardly refuse. It's an offer to have your home, auto, or business insurance reviewed by the friendly professionals at the Allied Insurance Agency. How much will this complete insurance review cost you? Not one red. That's right, the Allied Insurance Agency will provide a professional analysis of your present insurance at absolutely no obligation. Incidentally, when was the last time you checked your insurance coverage on your home, automobiles, or business? Conditions change, you know. The number of drivers in the family may have changed. Your insurance coverage written last year is not necessarily the best insurance today. Allied represents many solid New Hampshire insurance companies, and the Allied Agency will review your insurance coverage free of charge. Give them a call today at 224-5394. That's 224-5394. Or stop into their office at 500 South Street on the Bowtown line. Find out for yourself why at the Allied Insurance Agency, your protection is their profession.
Well, the Crimson Tide are on the board for the first time this afternoon. The Harvey penalty against Spaulding on the point after touchdown. So Concord will kick off from the Red Raiders 45.
And the Milligan gets credit for the touchdown, but don't forget Ryan McGonigal's 4th down run to the first down. Concord onside kick, it doesn't work. Spaulding downs it at the 35-yard line. Let us take this opportunity to congratulate Fiona Peters, the homecoming queen here in 1991, the very attractive cheerleader. Was voted queen for the Concord High homecoming by the student body, and it goes to the center, John Forrestal, the king and queen for all these festivities, a cheerleader and a football player. How about that?
Isn't that a coincidence? 25-yard line for 1st and 10 for Spaulding, Harvey.
All right, the Red Raiders would like to keep this ball right now away from the hungry Tide offense, and Concord's defense comes alive, Bruce. as they pin the ball carrier back inside the 24-yard line for a little bit of a loss.
Concord is definitely fired up. They take the opening kickoff. They march 71 yards, 14 plays, 7 minutes and 15 seconds for Concord to maintain control of that ball here in the third quarter. And a 2-inch touchdown run by Andy Milliken.
Second down and 11 now for the Red Raiders from their 23-yard line. Back to pass is Andy Jackson. He has a man open, and it's complete to the 40-yard line. On his knees, the tight end. Big catch down there. Benji Nevegans. From his tight end position, he went down and knelt down for the low pass and tucked it into his waistline for a completion.
Pickup of 26 yards on the play, Harvey.
Andy Jackson, the wind to his back, sends Bennett in motion, gives it to Bennett. He cracks over the 40, and then he's going to be thrown down at the line of scrimmage, or maybe a 1-yard gain at best. 20-7, Spaulding is leading, and Concord High is trying to mount a second-half comeback here.
You know, math was never one of my strong subjects. Make it a pickup of 15 yards on that pass play.
Again, our congratulations to Fiona Peters, the queen who was elected by her student body at Concord High School this week. It was announced at halftime, and John Forrestal, the king. Bennett in motion. The call, he turns the corner on the left side, and then he's thrown down after about a 1-yard gain. Concord High becoming extremely active. Got a nice tackle out of Shane Stafford, who came up from his safety position and wrapped up Bennett and threw him hard to the Memorial Field ground.
That is one thing that we have seen from a Jack Gaddy coach team time and time again, is the confidence that is built up in this team. They believe that they can play with Spaulding on this football field here. You can see it in their eyes, or you can see it in their play. You can't see their eyes from here. At least I can't. But they are out to the 42-yard line, the Spaulding Red Raiders, and they have a third down and about 7 from that point. Big play here.
And Spaulding believes they can play with Pinkerton on the football field. That's their one loss this year. Too much time for the Red Raiders. Second time this year, and they'll have to back up and take a 3rd and 12 snap now rather than a 3rd and 8. Or a 3rd and 13 now rather than 3rd and 8.
Ball back to the 37-yard line.
The band and the cheerleaders now have a coordinated little show going on. And the band would pause, and the cheerleaders would sing, and the band would come back with the playing. Very nicely done. 2:18 to play, period number 3. Spaulding look for Jackson to put it in the air. He fades back to the 30 yards. He passes. He's got a man open at the Concord 45. He's out to the 50 and into Concord High School territory for a big first down pass right there. Andy Jackson hitting Derek Bennett coming out of the backfield, and a nicely thrown ball and a first down that just breaks Concord's back.
Yeah, they're down to the 45-yard line. Just when it seemed that the Tide had them stopped on a 3rd and 12 play, they come up with a big first down play and have the ball 1st and 10 at the Concord 45.
This kid can throw. Bennett in motion. He gets the call. He cracks the head off left tackle, and once again, Concord High comes up with a big first down stop. The Crimson Tide have been tough stopping the run, but they're having trouble containing Mr. Jackson through the airways here.
Well, Jackson has come up big in the second half. He went 2 for 7 in the first half for 35 yards. He's now 2 for 2 for 32 yards here in the second half already on just 2 pass plays.
The Concord High 43, second down and 8 for a first down. In motion goes Bennett. He gets the call, cracks into the middle of the line. He stopped at the line of scrimmage, then he dives ahead for 2 yards to bring up a third down play again. It's 3rd and much shorter yardage this time, and will Hugo stay on the ground or unload Jackson with his talented arm at quarterback here? Let's see.
Brings up a third down and about 4 here at the Concord 38-yard line, 38.5-yard line. And now we have a timeout called by the Spaulding Red Raiders with 1:01. And Harvey, they may want to get the ball down the field with the wind at their back here before the end of the third quarter of play. We'll be back to find out what they do in 30 seconds.
Friends, they're always there, ready to share your ups and downs, to help lighten life's loads, to talk with and trust. At Horizon Bank, we're your friends, and we care about you. That's why each time you stop in, you'll get a warm smile, friendly greeting, and prompt personal service, because that's what a friend deserves. Whatever your financial needs, see us at Horizon Bank today. While we can't take the place of your best friend, we're behind you all the way, ready to share the load. Together, we're strong. Horizon Bank and 27 Loudon Road, Concord, member FDIC.
Here's the situation. 3rd down and 4 for the Spaulding Red Raiders. They are at the Concord 38-yard line. Concord has come out here and punched the ball in after a 7+ minute drive to cut the lead to 20-7 with Spaulding on top. It was 20-0 at the intermission. Spaulding coming off a timeout here on a big 3rd down play. And Harvey, this is where the Concord defense needs to come up with one of those big plays that they have so many times this season.
They have not intercepted a pass in 2 games here, and they were averaging 3 or 4 interceptions a game going into Portsmouth. Let's see what happens here. Bennett in motion. Jackson gives it to him on an inside reverse. He's stopped at the line of scrimmage and maybe even a loss. And it brings up a 4th down play.
Yeah, even forward progress I don't think is going to bring him back to the original line of scrimmage as they mark the ball back at the line. A loss of 2 yards on the play will bring up a 4th down and 6, and Concord came up with the play I had mentioned.
Big defensive play by sophomore linebacker Blake Savoy. What a nice stop. 4th down for Spaulding, and I do believe the Tide wants to take a timeout right here. They had too many men on the field. They had a punt reception team going out there and some kids coming off in a confused state, so they had to take a timeout.
Yeah, but they only had 15 kids. I mean,
who was it that said, if you give me 15 kids, I can stop Jack Gaddy's team? Which coach said that to us this year?
Oh, I don't remember. Wasn't it Tom Sawyer from Londonderry, maybe?
No, I guess, to be honest with you, it was the Plymouth coach, your friend up there in Plymouth, and stopping Brady's tee. He said, if you give me 15 men, I can stop Brady's tee. Chuck Lenahan, wasn't it, Chuck? Who's in a big game with today with Laconia.
Lenahan goes in at 5-0 with Plymouth, and Laconia comes in at 4-1 in Class I. That would be the feature matchup in that division.
Absolutely. All right, 4th down. And Jackson is back to punt. Steps up to the 50-yard line, gets it up into the air. Concor's going to let it go. No, Ekstrom fields the ball, and this could be a Spaulding touchdown if they fall on it, and it is. Matty Ekstrom at the 2-yard line. Looks like he was going to let it fall and go into the end zone, and then he reached up and tried to grab it, and it bounced off him and into the end zone, and a Spaulding Red Raider fell on it for a touchdown.
What a shame.
Oh, does that just take the air out of Concord's balloon, who was mounting a serious comeback here. Ekstrom looked up. He was at the 2. The ball, with its momentum and the wind blowing that way, for all intents and purposes, would have bounced into the end zone. And then he tried to field it at the last minute. It bounced off him, fell deep in the end zone, and Spaulding was all over it for 6. And now they bring the ball out to the 20-yard line, and they're disallowing the score. And the officials and Hugo Bolin are in a discussion, I want to tell you.
Yeah, because even the scoreboard had changed. And now
the scoreboard had the 6 points up there.
That's right.
Touchback. And it's coming down to the 20, and Concord's got the football, Bruce.
Oh, Concord dodged the bullet right there, I'll tell you
what. They dodged the cannon. Holy smokes.
Howitzer.
And Hugo Bolin out with the officials discussing, for lack of a strord, with the officials there. And I don't know if Channel 12 was scheduled to be here. I don't know if they're here or not. I'd like to see that replay on television.
Yeah, because the official definitely signaled touchdown. No question about it.
Concord has the ball at the 20. And Spaulding is upset, and they throw the ball carrier for a loss back there at the 18.
Yeah, the ball is going to be spotted now back inside the 20-yard line. It is a loss of 1 on the play. It's a 2nd down and 11 yards, and they are at their own 19-yard line for Concord High. And that's one of the stranger calls you're going to see as, indeed, we come to the end of the 3rd quarter of play, and we will be back with more from Memorial Field. We're going to ask for a 60-second break here for the folks back at the station. So we'll hear from S&W Sports Shop, a 60-second spot, and we'll be just 1 minute timeout.
Okay, so the leaves are turning and falling, the temperatures are dropping, and the area skiers are beginning to get itchy. If you folks would like to see what's new this year in the way of alpine and cross-country skis, equipment, and ski clothing, well, the ski pros at S&W Sports Shop are getting all set up to show off their brand new selections of 1991 ski products. S&W has skis by Fisher, Head, Rossignol, and Tyrolia. Bindings by Tyrolia, Marker, and Look. You'll find ski boots by Rakeley and Rossignol, along with ski clothing to fit and outfit the entire family from head to toe. Don't forget to get all the details on the Alpine Boot Rental Program. Now's a very good time to bring in your skis. Get them all tuned up so they'll be ready when that first snow falls. For complete Alpine and cross-country ski packages, plus ski accessories and personal ski clothing, along with Alpine Ski Rental Program, your one-stop headquarters is the S&W Sport Shop at 230 South Main Street in Concord, where their professionally trained staff will always properly outfit the upcoming 91-92 Alpine and cross-country ski season.
Strange ending to the third quarter, Harvey. It is a 20-7 ball game with Spaulding on top. Just in the way here in the fourth and final quarter of play. Concord has the ball at their own 31-yard line now.
The first play from scrimmage from the fourth period, second and 11, and Shane Stafford sprinted around for a first down. And Concord has the football at the 31-yard line.
Yeah, first down on the play.
And the fans are still buzzing about the touchdown that was taken away from Spaulding here. First man in gets the call. As they pile up, it looks like a fumble down there. Concord will retain possession.
You went out there to get some information. Did you find out anything, Harvey, from the folks on the other part of the press
to my right, in the larger part of the press box, there are about 12 or 13 gentlemen out there in various capacities, and I got 12 or 13 different opinions as to what happened. Does that tell you anything?
Yes, it does.
What I'm told is that there was ruled no possession on the touch by Ekstrom, and that it was ruled a touchback.
Boy, that is strange.
That's what the official ruling came up on. All right, McGonigal takes the pass, keeps it around the right side. He has some running room, 35, 40, 35-yard line, and another Concord High School first down.
Sure is. But McGonigal and the Spaulding defender hit helmet to helmet right there, just at the 45, just over the 45.
Some of the Concord High coaches on the headphones up here are saying that what's his name, Matty Ekstrom, he didn't have possession, he just touched the ball, and I said, was he in the end zone or was he outside the end zone? And they said it's immaterial because there was no possession. And Tommy Wright's putting his hands up saying it was 6. All right, Andy Milligan gets the call straight ahead, and he gets 3 yards. And he pounds the ground in frustration because I think he feels he could have gotten more on that, Bruce.
Yeah, he's got the ball out to the 48-yard line. It is a pickup of the 2 yards that Harvey mentioned. But the thing that I find strange about that play in the end zone, Harvey, is on a regular punt, if you touch the ball, the other team can fall on it. And I don't understand what happened down there. But the bottom line is Concord has our second win here.
Absolutely. It's a big call, and Concord will take the break, obviously. Second down. They're trying to get in Spaulding territory here. McGonigal back to pass. He gets hit. He unloads it, though. He has a man open, and it's a catch at the 30, the 20, the 10. He fires into the end zone. Touchdown, Concord High. No flags are down, and Pat Woodard gets the Crimson Tide back into this game, and it may be that his knee was down at the 1-yard line. The Crimson Tide, Woodard took the ball over his shoulder at about the 35, sprinted down, and somebody with a shoestring tackle got him. He dove into the end zone, and the officials are ruling he had his knee down at the 1-yard line. So it is not a touchdown, but Concord has a first and goal to go from the 1.
That is a good call, though. 40, let's see here. That would be a 40...
A call or a good call?
That was a good call.
You think that his knee was down?
It was. No question about it.
Timeout on the field here to talk about this situation as McGonigal, with a play action into the line, run action pass, if you fakes into the line, danced back, and he got absolutely drilled as he let that ball go, but it was a perfect spiral from about his 40 down to the 35-yard line where Pat Woodard took it over his shoulder in traffic, broke away from the traffic, went down to the 20, the 10 fairly cleanly, and as he crossed the 5, a last-ditch effort by a Spaulding defender, he dove, and he got his hand on Woodard's ankle or his foot area, and Woodard went down in a heap into the end zone, and the referees ruled that his knee touched the ground at the 1.
51-yard pass play. Concord now 1 for 3. McGonigal for 51 yards.
All right, Mayo, Ekstrom, and Milliken in tight in the tee behind McGonigal from the 1-yard line. The Concord offensive line is down. They are set to collide. The snap to give Milligan off tackle, end zone, touchdown. The Crimson Tide have come back to make a game out of this on homecoming. Andy Milligan gets his second touchdown of the game and his 9th of the year for the Crimson Tide as he goes up over left tackle And he got some great lead blocks out of Tommy Marshall and Og Young on that side. They just blew out the defensive line of Spaulding, and Andy Milliken just stepped right in there for the touchdown. All right, Dave Lossage in at center on the snap. Mayo on the hold. Garrick Stum on the kick. It is blocked. And you asked how big Spaulding's missed kick was. Well, there's a big one right there, but the Crimson Tide have come back to within 7. It's now 20-13 Concord. They want their hands on that football again. Come back and join us. 20-13 in favor of Spaulding.
You know, high school sports are a source of great interest and pride, not only for the schools involved, but the communities they represent. High school sports help bring a community together, providing a common focus to care about and to cheer for. Now, because of this important role in the lives of our communities, high school sports are about a lot more than winning and losing. They're about working together and growing together. High school sports are such a tradition in the Capital Region. And the Capital City law firm of Rath, Young, Pignatelli, and Oyer, on behalf of its clients and friends, is pleased to be a part of this tradition by helping to bring these broadcasts to our community. And even more pleased to be part of a community that cares so much for its young people.
At halftime, we had a 20-point ball game with Concord on the short end, 20-0. Right now, with 9 minutes 34 seconds left to go in the game, it is now 20-13 at Harvey. We got ourselves a football game.
And Concord High with a nice second half cutback and a couple of breaks down here on the football field. Sees Andy Jackson go back to the 30. He puts it in the air and he overthrows his intended receiver of the backfield. And it'll bring up a 2nd and 10 for the Spaulding Red Raiders. The Red Raiders had a 20-0 lead at halftime. Concord High has come back with 2 unanswered touchdowns here in the second half, and it's 20-13. And Milliken has 2 touchdowns for the Crimson Tide, but both set up by great plays just prior to those touchdown runs.
And interestingly enough, it's a 7-point deficit because Concord has, both teams have missed the point on their touchdowns.
All right, here we go with Jackson taking into the line, dancing back to pass. He puts it in the air. He has a man open, and it is in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Derek Bennett, again out of that backfield. And it looks more and more like Jackson is going to Bennett out of the backfield and nod to Aaron Gagnon, a man who has caught 12 balls thrown out of Jackson's hands for touchdowns here in 1991. Concord High got a huge break on a punt that went into the end zone and seemingly was touched by a Concord player for a Spaulding touchdown, but it was called back. Jackson again puts it in the air. His tight end has the ball and falls to the turf at about the 40, well short of a first down, and Spaulding's going to have to punt into the wind, and the Concord High offense really eager.
Pickup of only 2 yards on the play, so it's out to the 40-yard line, brings up a 4th and 8. And Jackson, Harvey, is 5 for 12 for 70 yards passing.
Wow. He's had some monstrous games here in the state this year. Jackson is back to his 25, steps up to about the 30, hits it, gets a spiral into the wind. It is fielded by Ekstrom there, and it is a fake handoff. Ekstrom keeps from the 30 up to the 40, up to the 45, out near midfield. And this time Ekstrom hangs on to the football and gets it out to about the 47-yard line. And Concord High, with 8 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in the game, are going to try to get down and tie this thing up here on homecoming.
And for the second time this afternoon, the sun washes Memorial Field with bright light. The other time was just as the Concord High band started its halftime show.
Nice
Good
to see
sign on
the
homecoming.
sun splash against this crowd here on homecoming. McGonigal keeps the ball, steps off tackle, goes up to about the 50 and inside Spaulding territory. And that's the first time we've seen Ryan McGonigal run that quarterback keeper up inside off tackle like he did last week against Portsmouth, and he gets 4 yards.
I'll tell you, if the second half had gone along like the first half did, it would be a different situation. You see the gate wide open over there, but you see nobody heading for it. If it had continued the way it was at halftime, we'd see people streaming out of here now, but everybody is staying.
Concord High trying to open up the floodgates of offense right now. 2nd and 6 from the 49-yard line of Spaulding. First man through. Mayo gets the call to the 45, to the 40, down to the 35, and the fullback trap opens up the big yardage for the first time this afternoon. And Mike Mayo has that football down to the Spaulding 33-yard line. 7 minutes, 48 seconds to play, and the Crimson Tide trying to complete an amazing comeback here on their homecoming field.
It is the 13th first down of the game. Spaulding has 9.
T formation for the Tide. It is 1st and 10. McGonigal backing signals. The wind to his back for the final period. Offside goes the Spaulding nose guard. And 11 school kids thrust their fists up in the air simultaneously. You swear that Jack Gaddy had them practice that because they all did it together. And they moved the ball down inside the 30 to the 27-yard line, 28-yard line, and it'll be 1st and 5 from there.
That is the 3rd time we've seen Spaulding do that this afternoon, so you're right, Harvey. They may very well have practiced that long snap stutter count. 1st and 5 from the Spaulding 28-yard line.
The Concord High offense on a mission here. They're in tight behind McGonigal. The 3 of them back there. Who'll get the call? Andy Milligan gets it. He cracks over left tackle. Down close to the 30. Good defensive play by the Red Raiders right there to bring up a 2nd down and about 2 yards, 2.5 yards. Andy picked up a healthy 2 yards on the play.
He sure did. The ball is just outside the 25-yard line, and we're going to call it a 2 for the Crimson Tide.
Here come the Tide to that 31-yard line. The offensive line goes down. They collide. The give is to Matty Ekstrom. He's inside the 20-yard line, down to the 18. That should be a 1st down for the Crimson Tide. 1st and 10 to go from the 22. Ball from inside the 20 and bring it out to the, but it is still a Crimson Tide 1st down.
14th of the ball game.
The Concord High School Crimson Tide were behind at 20-0 at halftime. It is now 20-13 and 6 minutes and some seconds left to play in the game here.
And there's still 1 or 2 coaching decisions yet to come.
Active defense comes across the pitch to Pat Woodard. He goes across the 18 to 19, the 18, no, the 21 down to the 20. The ball's not inside that 20-yard line yet. Shane Stafford was the ball carrier, with Pat Woodard getting the call this year. I'm starting to mix those two up. Shane is 34 and Pat Woodard is 35.
Ball's at the 21-yard line. Pick up a 2, 2nd down and 8.
I really don't like to deal in numbers because that doesn't do our listener any good. This is not TV. It's live radio. Glad to have you with us. McGonigal keeps the ball off tackle and that quarterback, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage, but he lumbers ahead for 2 or 3 yards, and Ryan got whacked. And he gets up slowly and heads back to that Concord High huddle, and it brings up a 3rd down from about the 17-yard line of Spaulding.
Pick up a 4 yards on the play. 3rd down and 4 for Concord High School, and they are at the Spaulding 17-yard line.
It's more like 3rd down and 6, according to that 3rd down line marker.
It is, yes.
Let's see what the Crimson Tide can do here. 3rd down and 6 for the first time. They want to very much keep this drive alive. It is a pitch to Shane Stafford out of the backfield, and he's piled up right at the 20-yard line. It just did not develop, not enough speed, as the Spaulding kids came across that line of scrimmage, and they were waiting for Shane Stafford. And Ryan McGonigal looks over at Jack Gaddy. What are we going to call, Coach? And Jack Gaddy is going to send the play in with Pat. So Woodard heads on, and Blake Savoy heads off. So Woodard will be staying in there at the tight end position.
It's going to be a big call right here with a 4th down and 7 from the 20.
They're at the 20. They have to get to the 12-yard line.
Yep.
Big 4th down play. 4.5 minutes to play. The ball is snapped from the 20. It's slow development. Flags are down. And it looked like Concord High jumped off sides, but we'll wait and see what the officials say.
It is against Concord.
And are they going to back Concord up and give them another play here? Hugo Bolin is contending that the ball was snapped before the call, and I agree. The flags went out after the ball was snapped, but the officials say the motion occurred before the snap of the ball.
Now, in this situation with Spaulding on a 4th down call, we saw a 29-yard touchdown run. What will they do here?
Will Ryan McGonigal put it in the air? 4th down and 13 from the 25-yard line. He fades back to pass. He's fading left. He's being rushed. He puts it in the air, and it is knocked down, almost intercepted at the 25-yard line. And Ryan McGonigal was running to his left. He's a right-handed youngster, and 2 linemen pursuing him, and he just did not have enough time. Had he been going the other way, he might have had time to unload that pass, but Spaulding stops Concord at a critical juncture of this ball game.
Really did. Spaulding is going to know they're in a ball game here this afternoon, win, lose, or draw.
It's not over. We're talking 4 minutes to play.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the ball is at the 25. The Red Raiders have it 1st and 10 from them. Concord defensively has been outstanding in this second half. First man through gets the call, and he comes across the line of scrimmage to the 40. He's stacked up at the 37, but it may be enough for a Red Raider first down. It was a quick hitting play, and Concord couldn't adjust, and picking up 11 yards was Bennett, the ball carrier.
Ball's out to the 37-yard line, Harvey, and that is indeed another first down, and that helps to keep Spaulding in control here. That is their 10th first down of the game.
Big crowd here on homecoming. A lot of the recent home from colleges, and they'd love to see Concord High complete the comeback here. Gagnon gets the call across the 40 to the 41-yard line, and Concord has to stop Spaulding here and get that football back.
No matter what happens, the fans have been treated to a great, if not game, at least the second half of this game. The ball is out now to the 42-yard line. And for 5, it brings up a 2nd down and 5 for the Red Raiders.
These Concord High kids are gamers, I want to tell you. A week ago, they treated us to one of the finest games in 5 years at Concord High. Bennett in motion, gets the call right side, across the 40, up to the 45, and then he gets stacked up at about the 47-yard line. He's got to get to about the 48 for a first down. It's going to bring up 3rd and short.
2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the football game, and this is a huge play for Concord right here. As they trail by 7 points, they have a 4th and 1, or 3rd and 1 rather, for Spaulding, and they are at their own 46-yard line.
The sun breaks through the dark gray skies here and splashes this homecoming crowd once again, and a big 3rd down play. Offside goes the Spaulding player. You can't say he was drawn offside because he knows when the ball's going to be snapped. Big play for Concord. It's going to back up the Red Raiders. Back it up to the 41. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 6. That'll change the complexion of the play, I believe. Now, Andy Jackson is a fine throwing quarterback. Will Hugo let him throw in this situation?
Into the wind.
2:12 to play. Spaulding leads 20-13. 3rd down from the Spaulding 41-yard line. Concord's got to stop them defensively right here. In motion goes Bennett. Jackson is back to pass. The ball is in the air and is knocked down. A nice defensive play by Tommy Marshall, the linebacker, on the right side as he knocks the ball down. Tommy almost had a shot at intercepting that ball, but it was thrown pretty hard. He was at close range, point-blank range to knock it down. A punt coming up.
Yeah, 4th and 6 from the 41-yard line. And into the wind with just under 2 minutes, 1:57 left here in the game. Concord put on such a tremendous 2-minute drill last week against Portsmouth. Can they do it again this week?
The ball is in the air. Wooded is over there at about the 35. He lets it roll down to the 30. No chance for a run back as the special team kids of Spaulding were down there in a hurry. And so it has come down to this with 1 minute and 47 seconds to play here. In this 1991 homecoming game, the Crimson Tide get the ball back for the final time, and they have about 70 yards of Memorial Field earth to negotiate here. If they want to pull this one out, they trail it 20-13.
71 yards to be precise as they spot the ball just inside the 30 at the 29-yard line. 1st and 10 for Concord.
And Andy Milliken goes in the slot on the right side. Backs a split. McGonigal is back to put the ball in the air. Plenty of time. Puts it out there. It is complete to the 40-yard line and moving up to the 45 is the receiver, 6'6", Rob Sawyer, who came alive at the end of the game in Portsmouth last Friday night. He catches one right here. Concord's got a first down.
Puts the ball out to the 46-yard line. That's a pickup of 13 on the play.
1:29. The clock moves on the completion here. Ball on the 40 line. Now Milliken is in the slot once again on the right side. It is a fake into the middle of the line. McGonigal puts it in the air. He has a man open. It is Matty Ekstrom out here at the 39. It was a screen pass set up on the right. And a tremendous defensive play down there by Mark Gigley, the talented linebacker that we told you about, who stayed with the play. And with 5 Concord High School kids around Ekstrom, Mark Gigley went in there and made the hit on Ekstrom and threw him for a loss.
Yeah, 7 yards back at the 39. It's second down and 17.
The Bishop Brady Green Giants are in a must-win situation this afternoon, way over on the western side of the state at Fall Mountain. The Green Giants, despite all their adversity and no wins this year, could still get into the Class M&S playoffs. They need to win today. It's a must. Today, and then they need to either beat that Massachusetts team on their schedule next week or Franklin in the final game. But 2 out of 3 is not good enough. Today and that, 2 out of 3 is good enough, but one of the 2 has to be against Fall Mountain. It has to be. And so that's a critical game for the Green Giants.
Sure is. You can find out later on today how the Giants did, or first thing in the morning. We will be in Winnicott next Saturday afternoon, Harvey. No easy contest, although the Warriors, again, beating the world up with a record, but they're still a tough football team.
Oh, no question. Dick Gagne has the Winnicott kids in there, a young, talented group of kids playing really fine football. Nashua at 5-1 after their big win over Trinity last night, almost lost to Winnicott. Final score was 14-12. That's not an easy ball game for Concord High down in Dick Gagne's backyard in Hampton next weekend. All right, Matty Ekstrom in the slot. He heads downfield. McGonigal sprints right. He puts the ball in the air. Ekstrom is out there, and it's a great defensive play by 2 Spaulding defenders out there. Ekstrom went up with the sun in his eyes, but knocking the ball down was Kurt Conley, the defensive halfback, on that right side.
So they'll bring up a third down and 17 from their own 39-yard line for the Crimson Tide. Then to play 55 seconds left in the game. And Harvey doing some housekeeping here. We had control of the Concord High School band box that holds their nice, some of the materials that they use here, the seat cushions that the band uses. It says reserved for the Concord High band.
3rd and 16 for the Crimson Tide. Under a minute to play. A pass play coming again. A fake. The ball's in the air. Ekstrom has it at the 45 up to the 50-yard line, and he's run out of bounds. So Concord has one more snap of the ball. They'll need 6 yards to keep the drive alive, and they'll need 50 yards for the equalizing touchdown. Big play coming up. They spot the ball back to the 49-yard line.
Yeah, pickup of 10 yards on the play. Brings up a 4th and 7.
All right, Concord's at the line in a hurry. Ekstrom in the slot on the right side. The pass is to Woodward. Shane Stafford carries the ball around the corner, and he runs out of bounds, and it was Concord's way. He ran out of bounds at the 50. The ball had to get to the 45, and I think Spaulding's going to take over on downs.
Yeah, it sure looks like that's the case.
I think he ran out of bounds to stop the clock, but I think he forgot it was 4th down.
Yep, 25 seconds left here in the game, and Spaulding does indeed take over with a 1st and 10, and they are at the Concord 49-yard line.
Oh, that is tough. The Crimson Tide of Concord High with a valiant comeback here in the second half. Appear to have that great comeback going to just fall short as Spaulding can sit on the ball here and ride out this 25 seconds. Jackson takes the snaps, falls back on one knee, stops the play. The clock continues to roll. We're under 20 seconds. 20 for Spaulding, 13 for the Crimson Tide. And the Crimson Tide are once again going to lose an emotional nail-biter in the last minute. Once again going to lose an emotional nail-biter in the last minute of play to a Seacoast rival. Last week it was Portsmouth, and today it's the Spaulding, as the Crimson Tide could do nothing but stand there in frustration and wait, and it is over. The clock runs out, and the Concord High School's homecoming runs out in a valiant effort by the boards as the Crimson Tide kids are just standing there with their hands on their knees as they really left their hearts and their guts out on this field here in this second half. They outscored Spaulding 13-0 in the second half. Their defense came alive, but it wasn't, as the Crimson Tide are going to fall to 3-3 now in 91, and they're going to have to win their last 2 games. They have a shot at the playoffs, and both games are on the road at Winnicott next Saturday afternoon and at Dover the following Friday evening. We will have both of those games here on the radio for you as the teams mill around at half field here and congratulate each other. Two of the Red Raiders, who were leading 20-0 at halftime, realize that they've been in a ball game right now, and they escaped with a 20-13 victory here. And that's not an exaggerated expression. They did escape as the Crimson Tide came at them with full force here in the second half, and to put 2 touchdowns on the board and had several shots. Touchdown, Bruce, and you got to give the Spaulding kids a lot of credit. The defending state champions move up to 5-1 on the year, and they certainly defended here like champions today.
Boy, that is absolutely the case, Harvey. The big thing for the Concord defense was they not only put 13 points on the board in the second half, but they held the high-powered Spaulding offense scoreless during that second half. We will be back for our post-game wrap-up and our post-game show here on WKXL AM and FM, or AM. The FM side has the UNH football game on it. We will do that in 2 minutes.
The area's family footwear center, Denroy Shoes at 76 North Main Street in downtown Concord, invites you to the locker room. It's the new locker room at Denroy Shoes, and it's chock full of great Nike footwear and Nike clothing. The locker room at Denroy Shoes has men, for women, and for children. The locker room at Denroy Shoes has Nike gym and book bags, Nike hats, Nike t-shirts, Nike sweats, and cool, comfortable Nike nylon jackets and pants. You'll love the selection, and you'll find the values outstanding. Of course, for athletic footwear, the locker at Denroy Shoes just can't be beat for selection. Men and women can choose a Nike shoe for every athletic activity, from walking to cross-training, from tennis to basketball, from cleating to running, from force to the Nike Ear. So when it comes to athletic footwear, you look to Nike. And when it comes to Nike, look to the locker room at Denroy Shoes, 76 North Main Street, in the heart of downtown Concord.
At Horizon Bank, we're your friends and neighbors, and serving you is our #1 priority. That's why we'll never leave you hanging when it comes to your financial needs. Each time you call or visit Horizon Bank, you'll get a friendly greeting and prompt, courteous service, because we believe friends kept out in the cold waiting too long. Whether you want to discuss checking services, savings plans, taking out a loan, or whatever, come on in. Our lines of communication are always open, always warm. Together, we're strong. Horizon Bank and Trust, 197 Loudon Road, Concord, member FDIC. With the basketball season coming, it's time for teams to be ordering uniforms and supplies. The best way to do that is by calling Jim Burney at Burney Sports in Concord. At Burney Sports, you'll select from the latest in uniforms, sports clothing, and equipment, and they specialize in team jackets with a great choice of sizes, colors, and styles. Best of all, you won't have to travel all over the state, because Jim Burney will come to your home or office. If you're outfitting a basketball team this winter, call Burney Sports now at 224-2131, 224-2131.
Incidentally, many thanks to Concord South Main Street McDonald's restaurant for providing a meal for Harvey and myself prior to today's football game. McDonald's is pleased to be supporting high school sports on WKXL again this year. And you know, as the weather turns cooler and the winds blow around here, Concord South Main Street McDonald's is bringing back piping hot home-style soup. Cream of broccoli, chicken noodle, and my personal favorite, creamy thick ham chowder. Had a bowl just before the game. If you're on your way home right now, you might want to swing by McDonald's. Soup is part of the new expanded menu. McDonald's, your spot for food, folks, and fun. We had some fun here this afternoon. Didn't look like we were going to right off the bat, as Spaulding scored on its first 3 possessions of the football, putting up 20 points in the first half. The first score came with 4:02 remaining in the first quarter, as they marched 76 yards, 15 plays, 6 minutes and 12 seconds, as they had held Concord to just 3 plays and out on the opening kickoff. 29-yard touchdown pass from Andy Jackson to Eric Gagnon. And the point after touchdown by Gagnon was good, 7-0, with Spaulding on top, and that's where the first quarter ended. In the second quarter, Spaulding would take a Concord High punt after again holding the Crimson Tide to less than 10 yards on their second possession of the game. 62 yards, 6 plays, 1 minute and 33 seconds. And it would be a 23-yard touchdown run by Derek Bennett. Gagnon again the point after touchdown, 14-0, with Spaulding on top. On another time when Concord was unable to move the ball, they kicked off, or rather punted to Spaulding, and it was a one-play, well, it wasn't even a drive. It was a return of a 65-yard punt by Gary Bryant, and found no good that time. And 20-0 with Spaulding rolling right along with about 9 minutes left in the first half of play. 20-0, Spaulding on top. And that's where the teams went into the locker room tied, or not tied, but with Concord down by a score of 20-0. In the second half, Concord would come out, take the opening kickoff, and show that they had the proper things said to them at the intermission by Coach Jack Gaddy. They would march 71 yards, 14 plays, 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And Concord would get into the end zone on a 2-inch run by Andy Milliken as it was set up by Ryan McGonigal, who took the ball on really a play where he made something out of nothing, got the ball down to the 2-inch line. Milliken was able to run it in on the next play, and it was 20-7 count after Garrett Stump's point after touchdown. Concord would hold Spaulding without being able to move the ball on their next possession and then take over on a punt with 21 seconds left in the third quarter. 2 minutes and 40 seconds later, after an 80-yard drive on 7 plays, it would be a 1-yard touchdown run by Andy Milliken as the point after touchdown failed 20-13, and as it turns out, that's where we ended. The setup for first and goal down at the 1 was set up by a 51-yard pass play by McGonigal, and I forgot who he threw it to, Harvey, but it was a good throw. And
Pat Woodard.
Pat Woodard, that's right, and he was tackled on a shoestring tackle down at the 1-yard line, set up a first and goal for Concord High, and Milliken scored his second touchdown of the game with a 1-yard run. First downs in the ball game, Spaulding came up with 10 this afternoon, 6 of them, 3 of them via the passing route, 1 via the penalty route. And for Andy Jackson, he went 5 for 13 through the air for 70 yards. Concord rolled up 15 first downs in the ball game, 13 of them coming on the ground. Incidentally, 11 of the 15 first downs came in the second half when Concord really turned it around. They had 2 passing first downs, and Ryan McGonigal went 4 for 7, Harvey, through the air for 71 yards passing this afternoon.
So Ryan had a real good game, and again, the Concord High kids came up with another great second half effort, and they almost pulled another one out of the fire.
That's right. McGonigal was 0 for 2 at halftime via the air.
The 2 games in history that I do want to mention here, Concord High, this was the 44th meeting between Concord and Spaulding, and now the series, Spaulding moves ahead in the series, 23 wins to 18 for Concord, and there were 3 ties. In 1930, one of the ties, Concord 6, Spaulding 6. It was only the second game ever between the 2 schools, and it was the 6th game of the season, just like this was. It was very rainy. Martin Verville had a 70-yard punt in a driving rainstorm for Concord High that set Spaulding back. They couldn't get out of there. Spaulding tried to kick from it, and Red Angwin blocked the punt, and Whit Levensaler fell on it to recover for the Concord High touchdown that afternoon back in 1930. We certainly had much nicer weather here this afternoon, although what reminded me of the 30 game was the weather that we had leading into this game. In 1942, Dick Martin was on board to coach the Crimson Tide to a 14-0 win against the Spaulding Red Raiders. Touchdowns by Gino Batalico and Skinny Riley led the Tide that day. And what was interesting was that it was during the outbreak of World War II. The game was scheduled for Friday night, just like this game was. It's so interesting. Hugo Bolin telling us before the game that this originally was scheduled for Friday night, but because of Concord's homecoming, Concord asked to have it on Saturday. Back in 42, the game was scheduled for Friday night, but it was rescheduled for Saturday for a different reason, Bruce, because the Army took over the generators that they used for the lights here at Memorial Field. Concord's 14-0 victory. We told you about Gino and Skinny Riley, Richard Gagne, Homer Labonte, Leon Parker, and a kid named Don Dunkley was on that 1942 team. So the series,
the same one.
I think it was his dad. I think Don told me his dad played for Concord High. 23 games for Spaulding in the series, 18 now for Concord High. There have been 3 ties. What does this do for the Crimson Tide in 3 with 2 games left? Realistic, are there chances to get into the playoffs in 2 weeks? We'll come back and wrap it up and tell you about Concord's playoff chances right after this. Stay with us.
Bobby Young and the staff of Young East Florist at 30 Manchester Street in Concord would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone associated with the Concord High and Bishop Brady football teams the very best of luck during their respective 1991 football seasons. You know, high school sports play a very important role in any successful community. And through the dedicated hard work put in by the staff and members, The Crimson Tide and Green Giant players learned to work together as a team, each member completing their assignment in order to accomplish a common team goal. Now, the teamwork learned by this year's group of young men on the rosters of Bishop Brady and Concord High will become a lesson on how to accomplish a common goal through athletics, knowing that how you play the game will become examples of how you go through life long after one has covered the 100 yards on the football field. This message from your florist in Concord, Young East Florist at 30 Manchester Street. And again, good luck to both Concord High and Bishop Brady.
Well, we have just been handled some statistics from Rusty, and I don't even know his last name. From the
Rusty Coffin.
Rusty Coffin from the Concord High.
Crack mathematician at Concord High.
Sure is. I'll tell you what. Concord had 110 yards on the ground, 65 passing for 175 total yards.
Look at the second half.
Second half.
Look at that, huh?
Yep.
They outdid everything against
That's
Spaulding.
right, and Spaulding had 25 yards on the ground, 35 through the year for a total of 60. So for the game, total all-purpose offense, Concord had 240 yards and Spaulding 11, but Spaulding comes out on top by a score of 20-13 here this afternoon. We still have a busy day of sports here today, Harvey, as we will be switching over to National League Championship game number 3, Pittsburgh at Atlanta this afternoon. That game is already underway, and we'll be joining that in progress momentarily. Of course, we have the Richmond UNH football game, and Ed Millett is going to give us the score from that game before he takes us over to the NLCS game number 3. We also have a report coming up from Jim D'Souza from New Hampshire International Speedway, where we're getting ready for the Chevy Dealers of New England 250 stock car race tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, 6:30 to 7:30 around the oval, coming from this time across the street from the Grist Mill restaurant, where we've been the last 2 nights. We'll be over at the Hampton Inn. And then tonight, our busy day of baseball, stock car racing, and football, etc., comes to a close with the ALCS game number 4, Minnesota at Toronto. Tomorrow, another big day, as we have not only full live flag-to-flag coverage of the race beginning at 12 noon, we also have doubleheader baseball, ALCS game number 5 in the afternoon, and tomorrow night, NLCS game number 4. Other than that, not a thing's going on.
Nothing going on at all. Final score here, 20 to Spaulding hangs on to defeat the Crimson Tide. Last night, Merrimack defeated Londonderry for its 6th victory in the row. It was a blowout, 36-7. Dover stayed undefeated at 6-0, defeating Portsmouth last night, 43-20. Nashua upset Trinity last night. How about that? 35-14. Is correct. Nashua moves up on the season now to 5-1. Trinity drops to 4-2, and West handed Central shutout 28-0. What this does, Pinkerton plays Girton today. You can bet everything you own on that game. Pinkerton will win it. So after this weekend, Pinkerton, Merrimack, and Dover are undefeated at 6-0 after the weekend. Spaulding and Nashua at 5-1. Those 5 teams are in mathematically. There's no way that they cannot qualify for the state playoffs. Trinity is at 4-2 in a schedule that they look like they're going to get in, and that brings it down to the last 3 positions. Remember, there are 18 teams and only 8 go. Positions 7 and 8 are a dogfight between Portsmouth, Concord, and Memorial. Portsmouth fell to 3-3 after last night's loss to the Red Raiders. To Dover High's Green Wave. Concord is at 3-3. Memorial is at 3-2, Bruce, with a game over at Keene this afternoon. A very winnable game, and the Crusaders 4-2, but they're going to have to finish up their season with a couple of tough games. They're going to have to play Nashua, and they're going to have to play a much better West team in an intercittal game, and that one has Thanksgiving Day repercussions for it. So, Memorial, the sad part is it could come down to Memorial and Concord for that 8th and final spot, and they don't play during the season, and someone's going to be awarded the position on points.
That's right. That could very well be the case, and it's an interesting way to go from here, and we'll be keeping an eye on it here on the radio for you, and we are scheduled for Winnicott next
Take it to
Saturday.
the bank, folks. I don't care what anyone tells you about the 18 teams, and they're going to talk about point systems and things like that. It comes down to Portsmouth, Concord, and Memorial, those 3 teams for the last 2 playoff positions. Concord's at Winnicott next Saturday afternoon. That looks like a schedule. It is not, in fact, a much improved team down there, and that's going to be a tough ball game. And I look forward to being on the coast again in the afternoon, next Saturday afternoon, to see Dick Gagne and the Warriors. Those kids, wide open offense, and if you remember the fumble Ruski of a couple of years ago, there'll be some tricks out of Dick's bags for this one.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that's a field that Concord is very familiar with. It was almost their home field 2 years ago because it was Portsmouth's home field while they redid the field over next to the high school in the Port City, and Concord made no less than 3 trips over there, including in the playoffs when they beat the Portsmouth High Clippers. So it's a route that we know very well over there, Harvey, to Winnicott High School next Saturday afternoon.
All right. Very quickly, folks. Portsmouth, Concord, Memorial, fighting for 2 of the last 3 playoff positions. Portsmouth has Dover, then Exeter and Winnicott. Their chances are much better given their schedule. It has Winnicott and Dover. If Concord could win them both, and especially beating Dover, they could get a lot of points, Bruce. A lot of points to throw them up, maybe even in the hunt at 7 or 6 because of the point system here.
That's right.
And they're going to need both of them to get in anyway. And Memorial has Keene, a game they might win today, and then Nashua and West, and it could come down for them if they ever upset Nashua. Memorial's in too. I mean, so both teams control their own destiny.
Oh, that is absolutely the case. So it could very well come down to 2 weeks from last night with everything on the line for the Crimson Tide, even making the playoffs, never mind positioning, just getting in. And that'll be at Dover, and no easy task to come. But there is a game in between here and there.
Our congratulations to Hugo Bolin in his 27th year at the helm. He's standing down on the track now talking to the Seacoast television people right now, and he wins his 16th game against Concord High. Hugo is now 16-9 against Concord High. Jack Gaddy is now 4-2 against the Red Raiders in his career. Head-to-head, given Jack's Trinity days, Gaddy leads the series 9-4. So it's going to be a Spaulding win here on Concord High's homecoming, 20-13 for the Red Raiders. The Green Giants game up there at Fall Mountain in Langdon, New Hampshire, and we'll try to get that score as quickly as we can here. We'll get our man tracking that down at the station. Brady has to win that game and then win one of its last 2 to get into the M&S playoffs. So the hopes are still alive for the Brady kids, and that is a big game for those kids this afternoon. Final score here at Memorial Field. The Red Raiders pull it out. They hang on to beat Concord 20-13. Our high school coverage this weekend brought to you by the Allied Insurance Agency at 500 South Street on the Bowtown line. At the Allied Insurance Agency, your protection is their profession. By S&W Sports, 238 South Main Street in Concord. When it comes to bikes, cross-country, and alpine skiing, bring the entire family to the leader, S&W Sports. By the Horizon Bank at 197 Loudon Road in Concord, your locally owned and managed community bank. Denroy Shoes, 76th Street in Concord, featuring athletic footwear for the entire family. Bernie Sports of Concord on board once again this year. If you're outfitting a team for the fall or winter seasons, give one of the capital city's nice guys a call, Jim Burney, at 224-2131. He'll come to your home or to your office. And by the capital city law firm, Rath, Young, Pignatelli, and Oyer, on behalf of their clients and the entire community. My broadcast partner, Bruce Lavoie, this is Harvey Smith saying enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody, and we'll see you from the coast, Concord at Winnicott next Saturday afternoon. So long from Memorial Field in Concord.
Great job, guys. And as you were talking about, UNH played against